Hello, we're here today. We didn't do our 2 p.m. stream. We're doing an evening stream today. So this is it. So I don't know how long it'll go for. I've had a very long day. And tonight's Survivor night. So I have a longer day ahead. So if you want to come on as a guest, if you have a topic you want to talk about, I think I have a few tweets to go over. But other than that, it's a pretty wide open stream today.
Yeah, all I think I've seen, I did watch some news earlier, but all I've seen is just like the same.
Oh, is anything going on? Let me pull it up. I saw something about I already forgot it. Oh wow, they're opening an impeachment inquiry into Biden.
Yeah, I mean, well, they talked about this like 2 months ago, and I guess they're finally moving forward with it. It's not going to go anywhere. We all know it's not going to go anywhere. Just like the ones with Trump did. It's just political theater. They're just doing it as a way to to show that they can. It's just like, oh, you did it to Trump, so we're going to do it to you. It's bullshit. Yeah, Libs said he can jump on for about an hour. He said so. He's coming, I guess.
That's really all that's going on that I see.
Yeah,
there was something earlier, but I forgot what it was.
I watched a couple of Rising segments that were just like the same old shit. It was just like, like somebody some people are upset about some TikTok video where some Harvard professor's wife followed a Palestinian student or something and said something that made her mad, and then there was and then there's Brianna Joy Gray doing her same simping for Hamas shit that she's been doing, and just the same bullshit I've seen from everybody. It's nothing. The conversation has not changed in 3 weeks now, or maybe 2 months even. I don't even know. It seems like it's been going on like that for a while. So.
Hello. Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's going on, man? Yeah, we were just wondering. We were talking before the stream started. We're like, what have you? Jeff's asking me. Have you seen Liv? Like we haven't seen what happened to Liberty?
No, you're good. I've been doing some job stuff this week. The place that I've been trying to get a job at finally started getting back to me. So that was it took them fucking forever, but I had to on Monday I went and did a bunch of training, and then yesterday I went and they needed they wanted the you always get them the picture of your social security card and your driver's license and stuff, but I sent them the pictures and they were like, oh, it's not working over email. Can you come in and we can just scan them? And the warehouse where it is 15 minutes away, so it's really annoying to have to drive all the way up there because it's up 15-20 minutes north of me. So I just had to go up there, and so then today I've just been doing other stuff. But yeah,
are they going to hire you? Is it official?
No, it's official. They're hiring me. It's just they're for whatever reason they're slow rolling. I've noticed this has just been kind of a thing.
The warehouse.
Sort of. It's
I mean, I understand you don't want to give away too many.
Yeah. It's one of those. I mean, this doesn't give it away. It's one of those those little shacks that sell coffee in
the little barista, little barista drive-through shack things.
Yeah, and they're usually in the same parking lot as a gas station or something. Yeah. It's just one of those. So they hired me to help with their deliveries and stuff. And hopefully I'll also be able to, but that's just part-time. Hopefully though, I've also been
You're not going to be a bikini barista?
I'm not going to be a bikini barista. No, that's not exactly my thing. They did ask, but
well, I wouldn't. I've been a barista before. I've actually.
I have too. I love being a barista.
Have you been a bikini barista?
I've never been a.
Or on Capitol Hill on Broadway, they had the little go-go board.
I've threatened to be a bikini barista. That definitely got some people in line. Whenever
good threat. Yeah, that helps move the line.
No one wants to see that. Trust me, that's not it's just no one wants to see me in the game. It's not pretty
same though. But
I don't think anyone wants to see me in a bathing suit. Period. But I certainly don't want to see me in a bikini.
But yeah, what were y'all? I heard just as I was getting on Brianna Joy Gray's name.
I don't know. even as someone who I don't I find her particular like she comes across to me as more disingenuous and hypocritical than a lot of the
Oh,
people
yeah.
on the left
No.
that stand for Palestine and stuff like that. That I mean I don't even mind that
Well,
so much if it's
I
a
think
take on her, but from her it seems especially like I don't know. There's something really smug and pretentious about her that just like drives me nuts.
I didn't
issue,
like her from that clip you played the other day with that Robbie guy. I couldn't stand her.
the
No, I know,
issue
yeah, it's like,
with like Brianna Joy Gray,
She's
Jimmy
so
Dore,
smug and
well, I mean, she is, but that's not. I hate her because she's a fucking
smug,
campus.
stupid people bother me. People that are
Yeah, okay.
ignorant but smug
Yeah.
and
about
she
it
should be
bother me.
smart because she's
And
actually
condescending.
she has a law degree, and
Yeah.
she was Bernie Sanders like campaign manager or something like that. She was something
Law
like that.
degrees don't make you smart. It just
No,
means
but,
you
like,
jump through the hoops to get
she
a law
was
degree.
she was genuinely, it seemed like, a part of like genuine left-leaning organizations. Like she was a campaign manager, I think, for
Yeah,
Sanders.
for
Like,
Bernie Sanders. Yeah.
and then now she's like a fucking campus. She's like a Jimmy Dore tanky. Like, what the fuck?
I don't even.
I
I
don't-
don't mind.
People
I
are
don't mind Jimmy
shifted
Dore.
all over the
Jimmy
place.
Dore
I
makes fun of himself.
He does.
He's
I'm
what?
not a Jimmy Dore fan. I'm just saying, but at least he makes fun of himself. I like Kurt Metzger though.
I'm not a Jimmy Dore fan either. I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I don't. He's what's the there's a term that Vosh uses, American Diabolists. That like his ideology is America bad. Like that's his like
something
ideology.
like he's like anti-imperialism or something.
No, he's anti-American. There's a distinction because
But because of the imperialism or the capitalism.
Well, no, because
there's woke anti-capitalism and woke anti-imperialism, and I can't figure out which one he is.
The issue with Jimmy Dore is like Jimmy Dore he just hates America, because like he's pro fucking Russia, he's pro China, like those people. Like if you're pro China, you can't also be anti-imperialist.
Like, back in the day, in the Trump days, like when I first came across Jimmy Dore, I thought I actually because he seemed at least like he was at least rational, like to some degree. But then as time went on, he got more and more unhinged and just got more like he slowly morphed into like one of these like, and he wasn't crazy in the same way. I'll at least give him this. He's his own unique brand of crazy. There isn't anybody out there with quite the same brand of crazy as him. He's not like your standard liberal or right wing crazy person.
Because he's been on fucking Tucker Carlson's show. Like he's just a weird little fucking freak. He's ideologically
very liberal, but he goes on Tucker Carlson stuff like that. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, again, like ideologically, like a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, Jimmy Dore's like on the left, and I'm using the heaviest quotation marks possible, and that may seem to be the case, but like again,
I mean, he goes after a lot of leftists, like and he goes after right people too, but he goes after leftists hard. On
I was about to say, but like
he has a grudge with Ryan Grimm, with Crystal Ball, which I don't like her much anymore either.
I mean, I don't really like Crystal either, but I don't like Crystal mostly because she's spineless. It's less like her positions. Like I do think Crystal Ball is like genuinely a leftist. She's on
she used to be the host of Rising, like where she was basically Brianna Joy Gray on Rising before Brianna Joy Gray was, and now her and the other host of Rising left to create their own thing called Breaking Points. And I used to like them because they like she was like a leftist that didn't seem like, that didn't have like the derangement kind of thing going on, but she seemed that she was able to admit when Trump made a good point or something, and at the same time also was principally against him the same way I was, But she still seemed to have like clear vision about things. And Sauger is kind of a libertarian, but he's kind of a Republican, and he's kind of he's got good points and bad points, but they're both very anti-corporatist anyway. And so like I always thought that was a good point, a good point for them, but then now Sauger has become completely spineless on Breaking Points. Last time I saw it, Crystal Ball just walks all over him now. It's like he doesn't even really talk now. So like I don't know what.
Honestly, I didn't never really liked Sauger, so
I felt like he was good faith about what he believed in anyway. I mean, wasn't even about agreeing with him. It's about the fact that at least I felt like he believed the things he said. I mean, that's something in media.
I can say that I'm not convinced of Sauger's alleged ideological beliefs, but that's partially because I think he's a crypto fascist, and I think that
He's really anti-corporatist for being a crypto fascist.
well, first, I mean,
very populist.
Fascist, fascists are, at least fascists like to use populist talking points. Fascists aren't generally actually populist, but normally they'll hijack those populist talking points because that's how they gain popularity, usually by hijacking populist talking points. That's historically that's how European fascism kind of like gained popularity in the early 20th century.
That's half the reason people started calling Trump a fascist in the first place, was because he did talk so many populist talking points. They were pointing to the fact that that's like a thing that fascists do.
Yeah, it is a historically fascist tactic, because it turns out that if the fascist parties went like, hey y'all, we want to create an authoritarian state where we will exclude one certain group, if they were like honest about that openly from the beginning, they normally don't gain enough steam to do the things, which is again why.
In what way do you think Sauger was a fascist? I mean, like, he's Indian for one thing, and he's an Indian from Texas. Comes from
everybody's fascist.
A very Indian family, and
well, first off,
I'm not paranoid about fascism here in the United States any more than I am about theocracy. I don't take either one of those two threats seriously.
It's not paranoia. One thing that I think we as Americans don't really like to admit is how, I guess, easy it is for Americans and American ideologies to be co-opted by fascist movements. It's happened historically. I mean,
seen it happen with the woke, but when has it happened here? Like, give me some examples of how easy it is.
I mean,
because even under Trump, the fascists didn't take over.
Well, not that they take over, but that they are ideologic. Like, okay.
And what is the American ideology anyway? Because if it's anything, it's freedom and liberalism. How does it get co-opted by fascism?
Broadly, like, liberalism is sort of America's like ideology. However, liberalism, as a socialist, liberals aren't exactly immune from fascism. Again, historically,
I haven't turned fascist.
No, I'm not saying you, but I mean what I'm saying. Okay, so
none of the liberals are
Jeff, hang on, Jeff. You are aware of the government of Germany before the Nazis was a liberal government.
I'm talking about the United States. The United States.
I'm aware. What I'm talking about, though, is that historically, liberal governments and liberals broadly have been very ineffective at fighting fascists in the non-violent way. In the political sphere, liberals are very.
I think America's done great at it. We haven't had a fascist takeover.
I mean, there has been, so as much as I do love FDR also kind of liked fascism. I wouldn't call him a fascist, but as a liberal, he wasn't exactly. He was actually very explicitly not anti-fascist until.
So I haven't heard any reason to start taking it seriously as a threat. So I'm going to continue to not take it seriously as a threat here in the United States.
Yes, that is. This is
anti-fascist. On the other hand,
that is.
I watch them tear up property in Seattle all the time.
That is the most liberal stance I have ever heard. And you know what? Hey, in Weimar Germany, the liberal parties also didn't take fascists seriously.
Well, I live in the United States.
I'm aware, Weimar Germany was arguably more liberal than America today is,
Okay.
and
Well,
The
I still hear no reason to take it seriously, so I'm
and
going
the
to
reason,
continue to not.
the reason, and I'll say this, Liberty, it's the main reason that I don't think we have to worry about it as much here is because of the size of the country. It's very easy for a small country, no matter what many of these European countries have happened in. I mean, if our states really were separated, like we didn't have like the central government of the United States, you could definitely see how certain states or something could become,
Yeah, like
fascist.
Washington State.
it was much
And
more of an yeah. I do think that America was much more at actual risk of fascism in the early 20th century. Um, uh, Basically, after the Second World War, we didn't really have any danger of it, though we did.
Well, there was an attempted coup that they either made that movie about that
Yeah,
came
I mean,
out.
yeah, but that
Christian,
was yeah, but like
but still, I mean, the story was true supposedly. So.
no. I believe it. I'm not saying that, but like I do think like despite us in the Cold War overthrowing a lot of democratic governments and putting fascists in place, or I guess at least authoritarians in place. Sometimes they were fascist. I don't think that America has been as close to being actually fascist as we have as since the turn of the 20th century. I think the early 20th century was probably the closest we've actually been to like full on ideological fascists from taking.
But not currently. So good, we
Yeah,
agree. What's the
no.
next topic?
I mean, that doesn't. No. That doesn't. I don't. That doesn't mean I don't think there aren't fascists in America today. I
There
do
definitely
think that.
are. There definitely
I do
are.
think
There's all types in America today. Like you
No, I
could find
know.
any
I
type
don't.
you want.
Sure, but
Most of the Christian nationalists are pretty fascist themselves.
yeah, that's the and the problem is the Republican
But I
Party.
don't worry about them. Like I don't worry.
Supporting-
Nick Fuentes just came out and said he wants to execute all non-Christians. I don't take that seriously. I don't think he's going to get
I'm not talking
the
about
mass
Nick,
appeal.
I'm not talking about Nick Fuentes. I mean, Nick Fuentes definitely is, but like
No, but if you want to use him as example of Christofascism,
I mean, I
I
wasn't
don't.
going to
I
use.
don't. If that's the best fascism we have on offer, I
I-
don't take him seriously. I think
I-
all these people that fight the fascist boogeyman, it's kind of a form of hysteria to me.
I think broadly, as someone who grew up in an evangelical church, evangelicals are some of the most at risk for being aligned with fascist ideology in America today.
Because they can get scared into it so easily.
Yeah, it's not like a for them the fascist they don't get into fascism because they're like ideologically a fascist. It's like it's all emotion based as to why they sort of fall into that, and they're not like fascists aren't like okay. So I guess we kind of have to like separate like this idea of like so a lot of socialists, not all, but there are socialists who became socialists because of like they read theory and like they understand their own political ideology and that kind of thing, and that's why they're a socialist. That's actually why a lot of liberals are also liberal. That's why a lot of conservatives are conservative. But with fascists specifically, fascism is a kind of ideology that does not lend well towards like normal political science. Like you have you read fascist literature, Jeff?
I don't even know what that means. What you just said. Lends
Fascist.
itself to political science.
So like if you look at like there's like socialist theorists, there's liberal theorists, there's like academics who will think about this and talk about these ideas about their ideology, and they'll explicitly talk about it as an ideology. But fascists ideologically aren't like it's not an ideology that propagates itself via academia. It's an ideology that propagates itself via like rhetoric and fear and just broadly populism. I was going to say like even conservatism is better at like understanding itself from an ideological perspective. It's one of the reasons why when we talk about Umberto Eco's 14 points, it's why like the 14 points is more of a nebulous, it's not like a checklist. It's like here are the general signifiers of fascist movements.
Yeah. And you know
Um,
where I see that the most is from the left. And I did a whole episode going through those 14 points and identifying where in the left I see them.
That is your opinion, yes. And what I'm just saying, though, is that typically, if you were to, like, talk to someone who's ideologically liberal or ideologically conservative or ideologically a socialist, even more often than not, they will be able to point you to, like, political thinkers who, like, genuinely have attempted to, I guess, do material dialectics, at least in if they're a Marxist, that's what they'll call it. But you'll be able to, like, point to that. But, like, for fascists, like, what are you gonna point to? Fucking I can't even remember the guy's
Franco,
name. I mean,
or
Franco's
not.
one, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's the other. I'm trying to remember the other. I mean, of course, I guess Hitler, of course, but then there's Hitler, there's Franco, and there's the one other, the Italian guy,
um, I think
Mussolini.
well,
Mussolini.
Mussolini's another one. Mussolini's probably the most academically inclined fascist, as weird as that sounds.
No,
there
yeah,
was,
yeah.
I mean, it's not a high bar to clear, but, like, yeah.
I mean, my family was directly. My family was directly affected by the fascist uprising, the civil war in Spain. I since I was pretty young, I was pretty I had a kind of a minor obsession with, like, I trying to understand that whole thing, trying to understand, like, what happened, why was my great grandfather, like, killed in a firing line, and it was because he was a doctor who who sympathized with the resistance against Franco's regime, and he was caught for doing that, and he hid my grandmother and great grandmother in a convent before they caught him, and then they executed him. So, I mean, like, I have family history that I obviously wasn't alive for, and I guess, to some degree, I guess it's kind of silly to be upset about something like that. That if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be alive. So I wouldn't exist.
Sure, but
I suppose had they not, but I mean, it certainly doesn't make me a supporter of them anyway.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and for me, at least, I'll go so far as, like, hey, look, the Bolsheviks were fascists. I understand that, like, Jeff, you might disagree with that, but that they weren't, they really, really weren't communists, according to most European communists at the time.
No, I mean,
they weren't communists.
Most communists aren't. Most supposed communists and socialists are become authoritarian and fascist mostly because the fact that it required the only way to make socialism, to force everyone to be socialist to some degree, if they don't want it, if you haven't convinced everyone to be on the same team about it, then you're going to have to force people to do things they want to do, and that requires some kind of authoritarianism.
I was actually about to say, like, one could argue that, like, a non-fascist group during the Russian Revolution couldn't have taken control like the Bolsheviks did during the Russian Revolution, because after the Bolsheviks took control, there was another civil war where the Bolsheviks killed all of the other socialist aligned factions who weren't Bolsheviks. They killed all the anarchists.
That's what happened in Spain too, because Spain, after the monarchy fell,
yeah,
a rather they weren't exactly like straight up socialist, but a rather socialist leaning type government ended up taking its place, taking the monarchy's place, and they were basically too. I mean, this is like an ultra simplification of what happened, but they were basically just too kind, and they were too cuddly of a government to properly resist against whenever Franco with his military regime came in to take power. They were not prepared to truly fight back against what the power that Franco brought, and, like, his forcefulness and his authority, and plus the fact that their attempts at trying this kind of low key socialism they were trying, it wasn't really resulting in a lot of people were starving. There was a lot of problems in the country, and that most of those were not problems with the quasi socialist government they had in place. It was really more that the monarchy failing itself create a lot of problems in the country, but that just made it like like I said, the quasi-socialist regime that was there was really easy for. It was like one of the despite the Civil War went on for some time, the actual takeover was very, very brief. It was like a
Yeah.
couple of months of like before Franco basically was in power, and then there was a resistance that went on for quite some time afterwards.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it was yeah, I mean, like like the
Just that-
socialists.
That's not exactly what happened in Russia, because like in Russia, part of the reason the anarchists were so easily destroyed is because they were, as anarchists, very fractured. But they didn't really have. Yeah, I know. Shockingly, the anarchists didn't really like centralizing their authority, and the Bolsheviks did, and so
it's sad and funny at the same time. You can't.
No, I know. No. It is
the irony of it. It's not even irony. It's just like what do you even call that? It's just like duh. Like
yeah, I mean, and what I normally like, the lesson that I at least take from the Russian Revolution is that you can't work with the red fascists. The fascists who paint themselves red, they might use a socialist language, they might use populism, but at the end of the day, like they're gonna put all of the anarchists, all the people like me, up against the wall too.
the first ones. The revolutionaries are the first to go at the end of the revolution, because whoever gets in power has to make sure that the people that fomented a revolution in the first place, that's the last thing they want. They don't want someone else taking them out. So you have to get rid of the people who are going to cause problems. I mean, from a pure logic standpoint of like, this is your goal and this is what you're trying to do. If you're in the position of the fascist dictator that comes into power, the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's one of the things that like I don't think people on the left can like work with. It's one of the things like why I don't want there to be a revolution in America today, because like, yes, sure, if we could do a revolution in America today, like that is technically a thing, but like the government that would come out of that, the people who would end up in power would not be the
it would be worse. It would
it would like right now we have like fucking neoliberals in charge who I don't like being in charge, but like they are far, far better than like a out and out fascist being in charge.
They're at least manipulable.
Yeah, at the very least, Biden's gonna get BTFO'd next election, and that'll be, I mean, not hilarious. It will be fucking infuriating.
If they could just figure out how to keep Trump from being on the ballots in some places, that it won't. That means that, like, who knows? But even that, I don't even. At least Trump's the devil we know at this point. In some ways, I almost think it's almost be better to have Trump back for 4 years and then have the country finally move on from that whole shit than it would be for us to get like a Vivek Ramaswamy or whatever the fuck or a Kamala.
Honestly,
I mean, is there any? At least with Trump, at least we already know how ineffective and
we know how ineffective Kamala is too.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Well, I guess part of the issue I have with Kamala is that, like, I mean, she's just going to do the same things Biden's going to do, just with less charisma. Not that Biden actually has that much charisma, but he's got more.
I think he's going to do more of it.
If Kamala becomes president, it's literally be a literal version of the TV show Veep. If you ever watched that show when it was on, it's going to be exactly like Veep. I guarantee you, because she is so close to the character of Selena Kyle in that show that it's kind of like, I mean, it's eerie. It's like that dude really like predicted something that I feel like it's almost like a prophetic TV series. I feel like it's going to be like this. It's going to be like this constant, like, satire of itself. It's just going to be, it's never going to end. I mean, and it's kind of like this. I think it's kind of how, like, she's the vice president, and that the first female vice president in the show and everything. And basically she becomes president later on because I can't remember, because it was a scandal or the president dies, but one of the two things. And like, man, that's so close to happening.
Oh no, that's not good.
Have you seen that show?
No, but I already, just from your description, I hate it.
It's brilliant, actually. It's the same guy that made the show in the UK. This guy made the show in the UK. He made a movie too, including he made 2 movies. One called The Death of Stalin, that's amazing, and he made him one that's called I think it was called In the Loop or something like that. I think it was called In the Loop, but the British show that he made in the UK is also In the Thick of It. The British show was called In the Thick of It, I think. And it was about British politics, and they're brilliant actually. That's I need that needs to be on the list too because I want to watch The Death of Stalin again too because that is a brilliant satire. It's got just look it up online. You'll see like one look at like the trailer and you'll totally see like where the trailer itself isn't that funny, but you can totally see where all the humor is. It's very high level political satire.
Speaking of good shows that everyone should watch, you should watch Andor if you haven't yet. You can get a chance to.
I have it on my Plex server, and I just haven't. I haven't got around to watching it yet. I just I don't know. I told you before.
No.
Real depression point for me.
No. It is for me too. But that's one of the reasons why I love Andor is because it doesn't trigger that because it's like it's not. It is Star Wars, but like Star Wars is just like the setting. The story itself is nothing like Star Wars, which is the best possible thing for it. Yeah. It's like this actually really interesting sort of case study into like revolutions. It's actually kind of interesting.
Actually, I had my first pleasant media surprise of the last probably year and a half. Last night actually, I got around to watching the Scott Pilgrim series that Netflix put out, the animated one.
Oh, is that any good?
I didn't know what to expect from it. I was really afraid that it was going to be because like the trailer made it look like it was just an animated current year remake of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It was going to be the same thing in series form, but somewhat adjusting it for current. What do they call it? It's not that at all. Actually, it's a retelling to a degree. But after the first episode, I'll just say I'm not going to give anything away because it actually was a surprise. But there is a major departure in the first episode from the movie. It takes a totally different direction. I'm not sure the ending for me works 100%, but I think but ultimately it was actually extremely, I don't know. It almost felt life affirming in a way that I haven't gotten in a long time. And I know you would like it.
Because I read the comics and I saw the movie, and I remember the movie was such a fucking disappointment because the comics.
I love the movie.
I enjoyed it for what it was, but it wasn't the same thing as the comics. Because in the comics, like almost everyone is pretty unequivocally a piece of shit. Okay, Scott Pilgrim is the protagonist, and he throughout the entire run of the comics maintains, even to like the, I guess, climax, even like where he like whatever learns his lesson, he's just a massive piece of shit, and that's the point, kind of like.
I think Edgar Wright's edit. See, like I saw the movie first, so I think I count as anybody who read the comics first. I think it's something that has to do with adaptations in general. Most people tend to prefer like the one they read first. I saw the movie first, and I read the comics later. I prefer the movie to the comics by far. The movie is, to be fair, my favorite movie of probably. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best movie, but it's my favorite movie of like the last decade and a half or so.
I enjoy it in a vacuum.
As a filmmaking type experiment, he just Edgar Wright just rewrites all the rules of storytelling and cinematic filmmaking in a way to me that's like on par with like Goddard's Breathless, and just in terms of like he creates new forms of like telling a story in cinema form, and I think it's brilliant concept. And I see the movie, whereas the comic book is largely about a bunch of characters a piece of shit. I think the movie is more about it's actually comes about something deeper to me because it's a movie about a person learning to deal with their new partner's past. So, that's a really specific type of thing, but it's really powerful to me because it's not about him actually battling evil exes in that sense. It's really about him having to come to terms with the past his girlfriend has, that has the people she's been with and everything like that, having to internally deal with that. Is that something that a lot of people struggle with? They find out about their exes, boyfriends or girlfriends, stuff like that, and like they find out these things, and it becomes like a major sticking point for them. So it's about somebody dealing with something that's very human and relatable in a really fantastical way, and I think that's what makes the movie to me so emotionally effective and brilliant. And to its credit, in my opinion, I think you probably like the animated series probably even better than the movie because it kind of maintains more Brian Lee O'Malley's kind of original edge like to it. But at the same time, it kind of, but then towards the end, it kind of reaffirms the themes of the movie and still kind of maintains like the it's like I really feel like the people that made the series were both like really huge fans of the comics, but still got what made the movie work so well.
Okay.
And even though I think there's an aspect of the ending that if you watch it, we'll talk about it, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. There's one major sticking point that's just like, but why is that there? But other than that, though, it's really really cool, and
check it out.
And it was really a short watch too. I mean, the episodes it didn't feel like I watched it for that long. It's only 8 episodes. I got
Oh, that's not too bad. Okay.
It flew by. The thing flies by. It moves really fast. Like after the first episode, I was a little concerned about the direction it was taking. I kind of thought like they were trying to do some like revisionist kind of like stuff that I thought was just kind of like lazy, but then it turns into something much different. So like I totally think that it actually deepens and makes every character in the entire series and the movie and everything more human and relatable, and it actually gives them all a soul. So
I should clarify what I said. It's not that everybody in the comics is a piece of shit. Everyone except for Kim and young Neil and Knives are basically enormous pieces of shit. Young Neil is like
Kim isn't perfect.
No, Kim is not perfect. However, Kim is far from as bad as like Scott or Ramona. Oh my God, Ramona
is insufferable in the comics. Yeah,
I will say honestly, I'm gonna be real. Ramona Flowers in the movie is also insufferable, but she doesn't have that redemption moment that Scott does. She's just she is the manic pixie dream girl. That's her.
Yeah. I think they deepen her a lot in the movie because I feel like that her overall. I'm sorry, we're just talking about. Well, we should do that in stream. But anyway, I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Ramona Flowers actually has a lot more depth to it than people give her credit for. Because I've heard that same criticism before, but I've seen that movie probably more times than any modern movie.
Mm-hmm.
That the movie has come out in the last 15 years because I've watched it several times. It's like the only movie like that besides maybe Brick. I've watched Brick a lot of times too, but
Fair.
And I've been threatening myself to make like a long video essay. I really hate that whenever people say that it's the original ending was much better because when Scott ends up with knives. Like, you want to end up with a high school girl?
No, that's actually the ending, the original ending where he ends up with knives is in fact, I think, like it's only good insofar as what it does is demonstrate that Scott didn't redeem. Like, it's not good. Like, Scott doesn't redeem himself in the comics because of the that's the point of is that he didn't learn.
I get what you're saying. I see the value in that too. At the same time, I like the fact that I like characters that learn and grow. I guess I'm a softie like that.
No, that's why I like the movie as in a vacuum. I like the movie because in a vacuum the movie is good and does actually have Scott redeem himself. However, it's a bad adaptation because in the adaptation he doesn't, which is part of the point of the comics. But they did change that for the movie, meaning the movie, standing on its own, is actually a really good piece of media. Just it's not a good adaptation.
Sure, I mean that's it depends on your opinion, what an adaptation means. But I do your point.
Yeah.
Personally, I think one of the best adaptations of anything of all time is the movie adaptation, which is technically an adaptation of The Orchid Thief, and it's those are very very different things. So
yeah,
I think there's something brilliant about taking one thing and turning. I think when people try to adapt something too closely, look at Zack Snyder's Watchmen. See, the reason that I don't actually think it's as bad as some people think it is.
It definitely isn't. It's still pretty good.
It's about the movie.
The movie. I'm talking about the TV. No, the movie. I haven't seen
the TV series. Was one of the best TV series I've ever seen. The movie was average.
Yeah, I mean, but the main problem with the reason that I feel like the movie didn't work as well as it could have is because Zack Snyder was too obsessed with trying to replicate the comic book panel by panel in a way that was it was the same reason that the Psycho remake doesn't work too. The one Gus Van Sant made in the 2000s or late 90s with Vince Vaughn, because he did a shot-by-shot remake. And so it just feels like there's something really weird and soulless about it, even though it's kind of it's a cool experiment kind of thing to do. But if you're going to adapt something, adaptation requires change.
Yes,
even
I
in,
agree.
in nature.
I agree.
And it's like, or here's another good example: The Producers, the musical. Producers musical is a terrible movie, even despite the fact it has the same cast, the same like thing is. And we've seen me and Melanie have seen the musical, the actual stage show. The stage show was so good, and the movie is so terrible, even though they're exactly the same. Like there's nothing different about it. It's just that it just doesn't adapt well to the screen like that. Or Cats is probably another example, but that's just, it's bad. It's bad on the stage, and then it gets worse on the screen. So you know, sorry, shut up.
No, you're good.
I grew up a big fan of musicals. I'm a huge musical nerd. My daughter is now.
I'm a theater master.
Yeah,
Of course.
Singing in the Rain is still one of my favorite movies of all time. So
I wish I could like musicals.
I don't like them either. I like Rocky Horror, Little Shop of Horrors,
those are
Hair,
great. Those are
Chorus Line. I think that's the only ones I.
What was the last one? Chorus Line was good too.
Les Mis. I like Les Mis, both the movie and the musicals.
I think the only version of Les
Or the
Mis I've
stage
seen,
play.
I did not like the movie at all. The movie to me was I did like the casting of Hugh Jackman. I think
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman was pretty good in the role. Other than that,
It's mostly
though,
the casting.
but just Hugh Jackman was good, and everything else was. I mean, Russell Crowe was terrible in it, and so is
The casting at the Melbourne movie Symphony was the best.
Oh no, like well, yeah, we watched a version of it. There was a the 20th anniversary of Les Mis, the stage thing. They just did like the play on stage, and it's like just the actors like walking up to microphones and just there's no stage anything. There's no dancing, nothing. It's just like people standing in front of microphones and doing it, and it's amazing the whole way through. It's completely captivating. And I've also watched really good film stage adaptations of even Phantom but the movie is terrible. Rent same way. Rent on stage works really well. It works really bad as a movie. Really bad as a movie. You know, just like there's a lot of things like that. Like people don't. The reason they didn't work is because they didn't adapt them. They just tried to like film the thing that they saw and try to replicate it on a screen, and it doesn't work that way. You know, it has to evolve into a movie for it to work.
And another one I wanted to like because I love all of this. I love all the songs individually of Hamilton. I love all of the songs in Hamilton, but like I've seen Hamilton, and it's just so not good. Like when you take it in its totality, it just
No, I actually agree. I actually agree that like I got obsessed with Hamilton like whenever just the songs I first heard it. I listened to all the songs and everything. I listened to it as like an album. And I really liked it. But watching the entire thing, bringing it in, it becomes very tedious. And by the time I get to the end of it, you don't like any of the character. I don't feel like I liked any of the characters. I kind of like hated everybody in it. And there are some really weirdly sexist things about about
yes.
that thing that I don't think people like to point out the fact that there are no female characters that aren't kind of like vapid and terrible.
Yeah, and also I am not exactly a fan of the amount of dick writing that it does for like a lot of the founding fathers. Like it does some, I think. I mean, it's a stage play by a fucking liberal, so like of course it's gonna dick ride all of them, and it doesn't present all of its characters accurately, which I know is very silly.
I mean, it's the only thing. It's probably the first and last time Lin-Manuel Miranda will be relevant, truly, and good in a performance because he's pretty terrible in everything else I've ever seen him in. But I do love the fact that I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that plays what's the guy from Clipping? Yeah, no, the guy from Clipping. The guy that plays like the best friend character in.
Not Tay Diggs?
No, it's not Tay Diggs. He's from Rent. Anyway, the guy that plays the black hair, the long dreadlock hair.
Yeah.
Clipping.
Oh, are you talking about
David Diggs? David Diggs. That's what it is. That's what she's with Tay Diggs. David.
And he plays Jefferson. Right? Yeah. Oh god. He was good, but like even that depiction of Jefferson just is. I understand that whatever, it's a stage play, so like he's gonna take artistic liberties, but like I I don't know.
Well, that was the point. I mean, he made almost all the main characters minorities, like and anything like that. In order, it's almost like to shield them from any criticism.
Yeah, it doesn't. It very much. I think as Americans, I think it's inappropriate of us to whitewash and like dick ride our founders that as much as we do. Because like, yeah, sure.
Who controls that? Who determines that and controls that? People can take artistic license with any historical character.
No,
it's all fiction anyway. We weren't there. We don't know who they are.
I kind of agree. I mean, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, it's historical fiction, really.
No. I understand that it's historical fiction. I just think that it's a something that happens so much that like the actual truth of the matter is distorted. Like,
but it's a musical. I don't think artists have an obligation to. I don't think artists have a moral obligation. I think they have an obligation to make good art, and that's it. They don't have an obligation to be truthful or moral. They have an obligation to be aesthetic.
And there's plenty of arguments to be made.
I have no use for politicized art.
At the same time, but it's very entertaining regardless.
Well, Jeff, all art is politicized, no matter how much you don't.
No,
want it to
you
be.
can politicize it, but that doesn't mean
it's all art. Everything is
really good art transcends politics. A good Shakespeare play transcends politics.
Bro, what? Wait, hang on. Did you just say
you can find politics in it, but the play is much larger than whatever political framework you're bringing to it?
You can't. Okay.
No, you can separate them. You can separate them in your head. I mean, like you can't deny the fact that Shakespeare definitely had political themes in his plays, but
not just some though. It's not that Shakespeare had some political themes.
He had a class warfare, and Hamlet's probably the least political, honestly, of them.
Hamlet is probably it's definitely the least political and the most, I think, human centric. Well, I didn't say it's not political, Jeff. I just said it is, without a shadow of a doubt, the least political. But that doesn't mean that it's not political.
You're interpreting it politically. That doesn't make it political. You can interpret it in all kinds of ways. That doesn't mean that's what the play essentially is. I can ignore the political elements.
Well, okay,
easily because the aesthetic overwhelms them.
But like, okay,
like the character of Hamlet is much more interesting than any of the politics going on in the play or any parallels they have to our modern society.
Well, it's not about just necessarily parallels, but it's also like the context in which the thing was written is also.
What does that have to do with my reading of it today in 2023?
Oh, this is kind of a death of the author type thing we're talking about. Then.
Yeah, we did a whole podcast on this. Me, Chris.
That's one of the first podcasts me and Jeff ever did. Actually, was about death of the author.
I mean, you can. Oh God, I don't really want to get into the death of the author.
I mean, read the play how you want, but I'm certainly going to stand by my reading of it.
No,
my only point was what I require from artists is good art. I don't require anything moral or political. I don't think that that's the role of the artist, and I don't judge them against those standards. So to say Hamilton is not exactly truthful or it's whitewashing, you're importing standards into a musical that I don't necessarily bring to it. That was my point in this context.
With Hamilton is part of a broader context by which Americans.
It's part of the larger context of musicals. That's it.
Well,
it's not a history book.
No, hang on.
It's not a TED Talk. It's not a lecture.
It is important
it's not a
to
university
understand
lecture.
The context in which Hamilton exists within the.
It's a fucking musical. That's the only context I need to understand. I've been in musicals. I know what musicals are.
Okay.
I can evaluate it in comparison with other musicals.
Well, yeah, but you also it is not only that, but
I don't have to. I'm not obligated to.
Of course you're not obligated to, Jeff. No one's saying you're obligated to. Who the fuck said you're obligated to, Jeff?
You can compare anything you want. I was stating my position on art.
I understand, and what I'm saying is
comparing it with your position and contrasting.
You can disagree with my position all you want. However, that does not change the fact that understanding the context
I don't
just
disagree
as
or agree with it. I don't think it's relevant at all to art.
But see, that's what you're making the definitive statement, okay? And you're making a definitive statement that is just.
I just said I don't think. How is that definitive? It's what I think.
Well, You're saying I don't
Yes,
think
I
we need to do
definitively
X.
don't think it's relevant to art.
Okay, and I'm just gonna tell you that, like, I mean, most people disagree with you. Like,
You
my
disagree with me?
literature teacher would disagree with you. There's a reason why
I'm sure she would. She does. She affects my life this much, not at all.
I'm saying
Or my evaluation of music.
people who do literary analysis would
Yeah,
disagree with
I
you.
studied literary criticism. My first
Okay.
major was English.
Sure, then I don't
So
understand.
I stand by what I'm saying.
Sure,
If
I guess.
if you want to evaluate Hamilton on its politics or its truth value, whatever, you are free to do that. I can enjoy the play and analyze it critically without any of that stuff, and still get the aesthetic value out of it.
I mean, I do get the
It's
aesthetic value
completely
out of it.
possible to do so. It's not
I-
necessary to bring in those other elements because it's a musical, it's a piece of art, and it can be
Sure.
evaluated on its own terms.
I mean, really,
And that's true for any piece of art.
nothing is necessary to do with art. Like, you don't have to even critically analyze art. That's even analyzing art isn't even necessary.
Yeah, you don't, and most people don't. But if you do, at least do it on its own term. Analyze it
Well, yeah,
according to what it is.
that's what understanding the broader context is to, like, everything. Like, that's why when, in literature class, when at least in my literature classes, when we would before we would read a book, we would learn about the author and about their lives and about the time in which they were living when they wrote it, because that's important context when you're trying to
It can
analyze
be
a piece of
sometimes.
art.
Sometimes it's not. Like, we
Some-
know almost nothing about Shakespeare. I'm saying it's not central to art as art. As a work of art, that's background stuff. It may be relevant, it may not be. It
Sure.
varies in each individual case.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
essential. What's essential is the art itself.
What I'm saying is that I think that understanding the context in which Hamilton was written, the social context in which Hamilton was written, is, I believe, important to critically analyzing it as a piece of art.
That's where we disagree. You think it's important, and I don't.
Do you think it's never important, or do you think that in this case?
I think you can in either.
I mean, obviously, you can analyze it without taking its context into case.
Yeah.
Like,
So the fact that you can makes my point for me. It's not necessary.
No.
to
Like, you're
ability to
literally
analyze
able
it
to.
aesthetically.
Okay, like, in that, like, you're literally able to write 2 + 2 = 5, but that doesn't mean that is.
But 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5, and it's not the same as being
Sure.
being able to analyze a piece of art on its own terms without
Okay.
the political stuff being necessary.
Actually, here's a better example then. You're also literally able to write the U.S. Civil War was not about slavery. You can write that physically, but like, that doesn't mean that is the only way to analyze it that is correct. Like, do you understand
What is a correct analysis? A correct analysis is one that's faithful to the text or the work. That's it. That's the only requirement of it. Does the work support that particular reading or interpretation?
What do you mean?
It's not something you can scientifically come along and grade. And
No. I'm not saying you can
it's
scientifically.
correct.
No, I'm not saying it's scientific. Well, neither is the U.S. Civil War was about slavery, which is why I use.
But what does that have to do with art? Like this, what does history and the Civil War have to do with art?
Like, if you wrote a play that was set in a Civil War that wasn't about slavery, or
yeah, if you I don't know, if you wrote
you can set whatever historical fantasy fiction you want in the Civil War era. It doesn't have to be about slavery.
No. But what I'm saying is, if you were to say, for instance, write a play about the Civil War, and in that play you wrote, the Civil War was about slavery, it would then be, and it was about the U.S. Civil War, and it was supposed to be like a historical drama or whatever, even vague, even if it's not necessarily supposed to be perfectly accurate, it would still be important to understand the context behind the U.S. Civil War, the actual correct context in analyzing.
Maybe I'd have to see the play. It might be. I can think of plays that could be written where it's not important.
And that's why when you critically analyze media, it is important, not always necessary, but very important to understand the context.
May be important.
There's actually an example of this exact thing. Gone with the Wind is essentially what we're talking about.
Actually, yes. Fucking
I've watched Gone with the Wind many times my whole life before I knew anything about Civil War. It didn't impact my ability to enjoy the movie at all. It was
yeah,
it's not about understanding. It's not about
follow the movie
enjoyment.
and understand it.
Because most people don't pay any attention to that aspect of it. They enjoy it, and they see it through even with a critical lens. They don't see that part of it. But if you want to look through the lens of the cultural and political context of it,
he can look through whatever lens.
I mean,
he wants.
That's
I'm
the
just
same way
telling him
you can say the same thing with about like basically any Western. Basically any Western, understanding that like culture and like the context behind it post the Civil War is important to understanding the Westerns, because it helps you understand so much about that sort of genre of media. And if you don't, you're missing a lot of meaning in those pieces of media. In a very similar well, okay, it's not even just in my opinion. I
think I'd enjoy Deadwood just as much if I didn't know about the actual historical.
I'm not talking about enjoyment though. I'm talking about like critical analysis.
Okay, yeah, if we're talking about critical analysis, I mean, yeah, sure.
That's all I've been talking about.
The Western genre has been around at least since the Greek pastoral, like Theocritus and that. It's a modification of what used to be pastoral in ancient Greece. So yes, I doubt the Civil War is fundamental to understanding it as a genre.
No, it absolutely is fundamental to understanding American Wild West pieces of media.
Okay, but that's only a subset of the genre.
Well, yeah, but that was the subset of the genre I was talking about. Sorry if that wasn't clear. I was talking about like sort of like Wild West, old Westerns. It is important to understand.
I still don't think it's essential.
Nothing is like essential.
Yeah, some things are essential. The work of art itself.
Not when you're talking about critical analysis of art, though.
Yeah, you have to have a work of art to analyze, so that would be essential.
Okay, sorry. Other than the work of art,
you probably have to have other works in that same medium to compare and contrast it with.
Yeah.
So that would at least be
okay. So we agree there. Where we disagree is that you don't think that it's. I mean, like, we agree then, I guess, because I'm saying that oftentimes, if you're doing critical analysis of pieces of media, not talking about enjoyment, okay, you can enjoy media without critically analyzing. I do that all the time. But I'm very specifically talking about critical analysis of media. It is usually important to understand. Well, media is art. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like because I'm talking about like
conversation. I make a distinction between them.
Well, media as in like different forms of media, as in books, short stories.
Like to me, a TikTok video or a tweet is not necessarily art, but it could be media. A newscast could be media and not art.
Sure, I agree. I do think you like a TikTok or a piece of news can be art, but they're not always art. What I am specifically talking about is the different types of media that are art. Okay, like books and movies and TV shows, and understanding.
Yeah, let's just call that art.
Sure, art. If you're trying to critically analyze those and you're saying, oh, you just don't have to understand the context. Understanding context is useless when you're
have to understand
analyzing
the artistic context or the literary context or the cinematic context.
Well, there's a lot of different contexts that I think are important when you're critically analyzing these kinds of media.
You think are important. That's my whole point.
Well, sure.
You're thinking they're important doesn't make them universally important for every single person on the planet.
No, but like, do you disagree that understanding, like, say, for instance, especially in historical drama, understanding the historical context can't sometimes be important?
I've said yes, sometimes. Thank you.
Yeah,
I've said over and over and over.
That's my position.
It could be. It's possible that it is.
Yeah.
It may not be. It may be
opinion,
completely irrelevant.
In my opinion, if someone were to be critically analyzing the play Hamilton, it is my opinion that it is important to if you're critically analyzing it, not enjoying it, critically analyzing it, it is important to understand certain contexts that surround it. Notably, in this case, what I'm talking about is America's sort of veneration of the history of America's veneration of our founding fathers, I think is an important piece of context if you were trying to critically analyze Hamilton. That is my position.
I still
Okay.
think we do.
I could probably extract that from the play with like by the first scene.
I could do it. I could do
It's not unusual to me that a country would venerate their founding fathers.
Well, no, but like understanding the precise way in which America does is important to understanding, I think, or to critically analyzing Hamilton as a piece of art. I that's all I'm saying.
Okay, because I'm sure we do it all in one precise way.
Well, no, but it's talking about like I'm talking about the history of the veneration of the founding fathers. Obviously, people have varying opinions, but understanding sort of the historical trend of the way these things are is often important to understanding pieces of media like that. I think that's important in basically any piece of media that's surrounding our founding fathers. But that's just like that's because I have a particular position on.
I don't know. If you're.
I just know that Hamilton is fiction, so I don't have the same rigorous historical and standards of truth that you're bringing to it. It's a musical.
It's fiction-ish.
It's no more important to me than a Gilbert and Sullivan musical.
I just have you seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter? I mean, I don't know if that.
I do think it's fundamentally different than something like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Like I think like we can definitely draw a distinction between that kind of fiction and the kind of fiction that Hamilton is. Can we agree?
Yeah. No, yes, that's what I was doing. I was saying like I don't think.
Is that a musical? Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
No, it's a movie.
It was a very bad.
So yeah, I guess we can draw a difference. One's a movie and one's a musical.
It was the same guy that made Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and which was also not a very good movie. And but I guess the book was okay. I don't know. I didn't read it, but some people said it was. But then he the same guy made a kind of a spiritual sequel to the Pride and Prejudice Zombies thing, where Abraham Lincoln fights vampires, and it sounds like it'd be awesome, but it's really not.
Yeah,
it's really quite boring.
Yeah,
it's very disappointing. But I was very excited to see that movie.
That's a different kind of fiction. Okay, that's a different kind of like fictional story than Hamilton, because Hamilton isn't a.
It is purporting to be a kind of alternative telling of the history of the United States is forming. So it's purporting that kind of a context to it. I do see your point there. I personally don't really look at it much from that lens because I don't think it takes itself seriously enough for me to take that seriously. But at the same, I too tend to critically analyze it without seeing it that way that much. But it is true that today there's probably more young people that probably use Hamilton more as a reference point for their views or for what they think about the founding.
That's part of the reason why I do look at Hamilton more critically, because I know I have liberal friends who unironically will like talk about the things that happen in Hamilton as if that is like true.
Well, you should teach
them
that it's a musical and the difference between fiction, life, reality.
It is, and in fact, I do, because I think it's important that we understand the context in which this is written. This isn't. I mean, it is purporting to be at least somewhat historically accurate, but the ways in which it is historically inaccurate are, at the very least, interesting if you critically analyze it, because they follow this sort of mythology that Americans have, this broad mythology that Americans have created about many of our founders. Now, it's not a perfect mythology, and obviously, I don't think like all of us venerate the founding fathers. I don't think you would claim to like be like, oh yeah, like our founding fathers were like perfect dudes who were like awesome in like almost every way. Like fucking
they were
but that's not necessary to veneration either. I know my heroes are not perfect. I can still venerate people for being.
They were heroic. the men that America, I guess, needed for its foundation to have for their time. But yes, they were all very flawed people, even according to even some of the most
influential ones.
What's up?
Yeah, and I can still I'm not a moralist. I can still venerate them and appreciate them for what they did do.
I can too, but it's also important, especially in the context of the mythologies that have been created around them, to understand the actual history behind those mythologies. Like Thomas Jefferson, for all of the great cool shit he did, and he was kind of one of the biggest pieces of shit among them. Like,
I've heard people try to refute that, but back and forth, and I don't know who knows what's most accurate. But I agree. I mean, it seems like there's
like you could turn anybody into a piece of shit if you dig deep enough.
Well, I mean, you don't have to dig. It's not even like a dig deep. Like, you just have to dig into his Wikipedia
but when
page.
I weigh that against his accomplishments, it really doesn't bother me.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, what's the point of being bothered by it at this point today? Anyway, we definitely.
It's not so much bothering it. It's so much like cutting through the mythology. Because again, as somebody who has this, I'm just part of the reason why I talk about this is because growing up, that was like a genuine issue where like in my education, the founding fathers were very much venerated, like to a kind of gross degree, like in my actual education.
Like, yeah, I grew up.
Jeff,
I grew up. Even with
barely talking about his veneration.
Okay, so like.
But yes, I'm glad that you were taught the founding fathers and their accomplishments.
Well, yes, but like I was also taught that the Civil War was about states' rights, and that it was the war of northern aggression. So like that's what I'm kind of talking about, is like the way in which we get educated is important because it does.
I agree that the way we get educated is important, and I also stand by my point that Hamilton is a musical. So I think we're talking about two different things. If you want to talk about how history's taught, that's one thing. If you want to talk about Hamilton the musical, that's a separate thing. If people are mistaking Hamilton for history, that's their problem. They're ignorant.
Well, they're not so much mistaking it for history as Hamilton is purporting to be
presenting itself as this history to some degree. Even though, I mean, it's pretty.
I don't believe that. I call bullshit. I don't believe that
Hamilton's are black and everything else like that. I mean, there are a lot of reasons, like, you know, that people shouldn't be so gullible as that. I mean, I do think that is kind of a failing on the part of the people that are like watching this and taking anything that's clearly in a musical context as being at all based in reality. It should kind of probably maybe need to get their head checked. I mean, there are movies and stuff that definitely have presented themselves to be actually historically accurate and have been just blatant lies as well.
I'm more talking about like the people that who I have talked to about this, who very much so, you know, did mistake much of Hamilton for historically accurate things. Like, it's not like they were like full adults. They were like 17 to 19-year-old fucking kids. Okay, so like
they still. I mean, like that's still. I think that's more failing on the education system. The fact that
sure. I agree.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're. I see your point. I don't think it's. I don't think it's the. But that's not what you're saying. But at the same time, Jeff, he's not saying that it's a responsibility of Lin-Manuel Miranda to make it more historically accurate. He's just saying that like, you know, something like that. Like, you know, it is. It is maybe useful watching it to know that, like, some of these things are, you know, I mean people could ignorant.
That's not the artist's responsibility.
I'm not talking. I don't think it's the artist's.
He's not responsible for stupidity of his audience.
No, I'm not saying it's Lin-Manuel Miranda's fault that he's done all.
Yeah, no, I know. I was defending you on that. I was saying.
Yeah, no. I appreciate, like, I'm not saying that Lin-Manuel Miranda is like the artist is like fucking morally condemned for taking some historic liberties with some of his stuff. What I'm saying is that we broadly, the societal we, have an obligation to, when we engage in these kinds of media critically, to engage in them actually critically.
Don't tell me what my obligations are. I'm not your we.
I didn't say
I'm
you.
an individual, a self-determining individual with my own opinion, my own approach. Don't prescribe my obligations to me.
Hey, Joshua, I haven't seen you in the comments in a while, man.
Hey, Joshua, what's up? What have you been up to?
Oh, there's Joshua. My favorite person.
Joshua.
And tell us, come on and tell us why we should care about a sociopath's opinion too.
Yeah. Joshua, I mean, you gotta give this to him.
Which actually, there's probably more of an argument for that because they see things so raw.
He
like
does work in the State
raw
Department. He has
nature.
actual on the ground.
Oh no, I summoned you the other day. I was what were we talking about? The tactician psyops, psychological warfare. I'm like, we need Joshua Jones for this.
Right, yeah, because we were talking about what the definition of a psyop was.
But
some people are confused about what's a psyop and what's not, and they're using that word for everything.
Well, he's definitely pro psyop. But I mean, it's not like I was pointing to the military's own website that actually has like a page for joining the psychological operations team. So
people were saying like the transgender issue is a psyop.
Joshua Jones is sitting there reading 1984. Wow, this has some really good ideas in it. We should really implement some of these.
Probably don't encourage it. You probably would. He already admits openly. That's the closest to a fascist you're probably gonna get on here. He openly admits to being an authoritarian.
Maybe, I don't know.
A right-wing authoritarian.
Okay, maybe on here.
I respect it because he's open about it, and he's not trying to couch it. But
No, I do too. I appreciate honesty as opposed to deception.
Well, he is very pro-deception too.
that is also true. Though he has at least allegedly been honest sometimes.
No, he's been honest.
I find him like even when he's trying I don't know. He's pretty transparent. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I can usually expose whatever's going on behind
I can, but that's kind of I've talked to a lot of fascists, so like I kind of
really you talked to a lot of them.
I'm from the South, man.
I think I've probably met.
I'm from the South too. I know no fascists. Like I can't. I'm trying to think of a fascist I've met in the South. If I know any fascists at all, it's probably someone I met up here in Seattle. There are no fascists where I come from.
I mean, that's great for you. I've known plenty of Christian fascists. They're pretty common in the evangelical circles.
I know Big Papa fascists.
I mean, they don't really. I mean, I'm talking about people who call themselves fascists. I mean,
no, they don't call themselves fascists. They're just,
So you're painting them as fascists. That's what was confusing me.
Sure, yeah. I don't think everyone who is a fascist calls themselves.
Well, again, I refer you to.
You can't exist without an authoritarian. You know what? You're right. Joshua, I definitely can't. It is literally impossible for me to.
At this stage where the world's at, yeah, there is no way to be a communist.
Everybody needs a daddy.
Authoritarianism. Until the world reaches enlightenment.
Honestly, I wouldn't actually even call my dad a fascist or like an authoritarian. He's barely even any of those things. He's a fucking neolib at best, or I guess at worst, he's like a neolib.
Well,
what do you consider a neolib?
What you say most neolibs are? I thought that the general opinion was that most neolibs were crypto-fascists, though.
No. They're not crypto-fascists. They're not. They are insufficiently anti-fascist. They are very poor at. Okay, no. Historically, neoliberalism is very bad at countering fascism.
Real quick, so for our viewers, so we can be on a single page. What do you consider neoliberalism or neolib?
Neoliberalism is sort of this combination of liberal Enlightenment ideas and sort of this modern conception of capitalism. So you have these at least ideals of egalitarianism, fraternity.
I'm not an egalitarian. I'm liberal, but I'm not an egalitarian.
The Clintons are the ultimate neolibs. They're like the final boss of neoliberals.
The Enlightenment ideals, liberté, égalité, fraternité, whatever the fucking French words are, that like describe. It's not egalitarianism as in what you're thinking about. It's this idea of like treating
equality.
People, yes. It's the French word for it.
Okay. Freedom, equality, open debate, freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Private ownership of private property.
The French flag. The French flag is
very
equality and fraternity, right?
Yes, and actually, the idea of private. I'm glad you mentioned private property because the idea of private property is very much a liberal idea, as in like. It is
because it's an extension of individual freedom and autonomy and self-determination.
Yes, and then you combine that with the sort of like modern Western capitalism, and
The free
usually.
market.
Yes, and usually when I'm talking about neoliberalism, I'm usually talking about people who are more pro sort of globalist in the literal sense of the word, not in the Alex Jones sense of the word, as in like.
Speaking of Alex Jones,
I don't think Joshua Jones likes Alex Jones. I can't
but
imagine.
I'm trying to no, he's probably the least conspiracist on the panel next to me. What I'm trying. Okay, I understand the liberal part. To explain the capitalism part. It's a merger of that with capitalism. I thought capitalism kind of arose out of that Lockean type of liberalism itself.
The modern,
Or the free market, rather. Capitalism came with Marx.
Modern capitalism is what I'm talking about. So like, because like for instance, Adam Smith was someone who was like pro-capitalist, but I don't think Adam Smith would not be in the modern day described as a capitalist. That his idea of capitalism is very distinct from our modern ideas of capitalism. Our modern ideas of capitalism have sort of outgrown Adam Smith, I guess.
We're not in free market capitalism anymore. This is what Jack and I were trying to figure out the other day.
We explicitly
it seems
aren't.
like we still have a free market.
We have a regulated market.
Well, but I call it free market.
Well, sure, but that's not what it is.
We're a mixed market economy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
that's
much.
That's still capitalism, right? It's still market based.
Well, capitalism doesn't mean market based. Capitalism just means that.
Capitalism was Marx's term for the free market. Before Marx came along, it was just free trade. Free market capitalism.
So it's like pure democracy. Pure democracy is mob rule. Pure capitalism is 100% open market. We don't have that.
There's never been pure free market.
But only true capitalists, right?
Actually,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
I would argue that ANCAPs are actually not capitalists. They're not the purest form of capitalism. At least.
Oh, okay. That's what I've heard most people say before.
I guess like ideologically they might be. However, like in practice, their actual beliefs don't actually comport with perfectly free markets. Because I don't think
libertarians' beliefs don't comport with actual freedom.
Huh?
I said just like the libertarians' beliefs don't comport with actual freedom. And
actually,
beliefs about diversity, equity, and inclusion don't actually comport with actual diversity and actual inclusion.
Yeah, that's very true.
Actually, no. That is very much like ideologically an ANCAP society would just like be feudalist. Like there's not really any other way.
Chris, come back when you're done.
There's not really any other way it could possibly be. Same thing with like libertarians. I guess libertarians also.
What was that?
No, we're good. Just
though, I guess libertarians, because they're pro-state, would there's more be like an oligopoly than a feudal state. But
So neoliberal. What's the capitalism and Enlightenment liberalism is neoliberalism. So what's the capitalism part? This mixed market thing? None of that sounds like a bad thing.
I mean, I don't think it's not inherently bad.
Well, you said neoliberals like it was like your dad is a neoliberal. Like it was the most disgusting thing in the world he could be.
Well, I mean, ideologically, I'm not aligned with neoliberals. Neoliberals are
because of the capitalism.
Yeah, it's the capitalism. I like the liberalism stuff. I don't really like the capitalism stuff, and rather, I like the liberal ideals. Everything. I'm not like pro everything liberal because liberals.
Didn't you just go out and get a job?
Yes.
How is that not participating in capitalism? They're going to exploit your labor.
I don't. Sure. Yes. What's your?
Okay. Well, there's some dissonance there for me. I'm trying to resolve.
What dissonance? No, I'm genuine.
That you're anti-capitalist and you're participating in the mixed market economy. That
I have.
You call capitalism.
What are my other?
Come on, you can't. Are you seriously playing this dumb?
No, I'm not playing this dumb. I'm genuinely. I don't understand what the fuck.
So
I've heard the talking point before.
The analogy would be more like being anti-abortionist and then going out and having an abortion. You kind of can't like be anti a thing and while doing a thing. All you're doing then is just basically talking out your ass.
I don't think being that's not the same thing as being anti-capitalist. So capitalism is like this big sort of like system that we are all encouraged.
You are
incentivized
participating. You are participating in a system that you oppose.
My only other option though would be to shoot myself in the head.
Oh no, you can quite literally move to a communist country.
Well, first off, with what money? B, what communist country? C, I don't want to.
I don't know why you're so anti-capitalism, because it sounds like it would really work for you right now and help you out.
Yeah, it seems like if you'd want that money to be able to go some other place, I can think of 3 countries off the top of my head that are communist. I'm in one of them currently.
Well, I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, I think your definition of communism is like retarded. So.
Yeah. The whole stateless. Well, that's impossible.
I'm an anarchist, dude. I'm not a fucking.
It gets worse. Okay. How does that? How do you survive? You specifically, how do you survive inside of anarchy?
I don't.
Okay, that's usually anarchy's. Woo, boy! If you thought pure pure democracy, if you thought that was dangerous, anarchy would be quite literally just the exact opposite end of that spectrum.
How so?
They both have the same results, literally identical results.
Do you care to elaborate?
Okay, so anarchy is without law, right? Without regulation, without any type of protection from a state, basically, right?
Well,
it's just no rules other than what people sit around and decide that they want to come up with. And
that is not what anarchy means. I mean, you can continue to shadow box, but like, you're not.
So it's like
absence of any form of political authority.
Yeah, so it's like
that's not
basically
what I mean by anarchy.
Yeah. So now we're just let's like the same concept you said with communism. No true communist country evolved around there. We're just basically fighting over what we want it to be. Got it? Understand?
Sure. Yeah. That's
Then it's I want to create my own flavor of ice cream, and I don't like anybody else's name that they put on it.
What?
It has no meaning. There's nothing to there's no conversation to be had. There's just nothing there. It's big gigantic nothing burger.
I mean, I do think you can have like a politically coherent like philosophical discussion on like anarchy and why anarchy philosophically wouldn't work, but like I'm not
the philosophical debates on what a thing is just bunk.
Yeah, see that's why I don't really want to have it with you, because like again, you're just kind of a
Well, we don't have to. Joshua, catch us up. How are you? What's going on?
Oh crap. Well, let's see, I was sick for like, I don't know, 5-6 days. Kid decided, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't call him a kid, I should call him a germ factory. Decided he wanted to
true.
Yeah, he wanted to bring home pneumonia, and well, I got it. So now I got a little bass in my voice. Do what?
That's the second time in like a month.
Yeah, I told you that's why I'm calling him Germ Factory. I'm gonna change his name. I'm literally gonna take his ass back up to the government and get his name changed to Germ Factory just to be a dick.
I'm sorry, Joshua. I hope that you haven't felt too shitty being sick.
I really hate commies. I really hate. Do you even have a commie card?
What?
Do you have a communist membership card?
No.
Damn. So it's all just talk. Got it. Understand. I have a commie card.
Where would you get
Strangely enough.
Yeah, I mean,
You have a communist card, Chris?
I just asked, like, where would you get one? I don't even know where you.
I have a socialist card.
I mean, I have an SRA card, but you know.
So to
What
be
is that
to
for?
be
Socialist Rifle Association. It's a gun club.
Socialist what?
Rifle Association. It's the NRA,
Oh,
but
gun
for
club.
leftists.
Social.
Yeah, it's a gun club.
so to be a foreigner
I like
and
being-
conduct
Yeah.
to be a foreigner and conduct business in a socialist country, you have to have a business license as well as a party membership card, aka a commie card. You have to
Oh, I
pay
didn't
your
know that.
dues.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So you
I
have-
literally have a commie card. My fucking mother is hilarious about it. She's like, "Oh, you're a communist? Go fuck yourself, mom."
Yeah, no, I absolutely. It's a lot of these fucking fascist painted red countries do use the term communism. The CCP is one of them, even though they're explicitly not a communist state. I mean, that's explicit in their, you know, they talk about fucking Xi Jinping, who is very much not a communist, has talked about this, about how like China is like a do they? I don't think they don't even call themselves socialist, do they? I don't think they do.
I don't think they do anymore. I didn't know that. There's some kind of weird mixture of capitalism and authoritarianism that's like.
Yeah, they
They absolutely do call themselves socialists. The problem is
Do
you
they?
can't
Okay.
have socialism operating next to capitalism. They will naturally compete with each other, and capitalism will absolutely destroy anything around it that doesn't compete. It'll just eat it.
Sure. I guess that wasn't really what I was talking about. I was talking about like, I mean, yeah,
Well,
like,
it justifies the concept of why
but like, hey,
communist
Joshua,
countries.
I'm curious. The Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. Do you believe that they are a Democratic People's Republic?
No.
Why? It says it in their name. It says they're a Democratic People's Republic.
Yeah, it's not their name as to what makes them a thing. It's what's up with their well, I guess in this case would be their charter and what they say.
What do they say?
It's the same thing with China. Why it's technically communist because it's in their it's in their charter, or it would be in their constitution to be so.
The CCP is a communist party. That is true. But the state itself does not call itself communist. And to my knowledge, they don't call themselves socialist because to my knowledge, they've talked about how they are working on the project of socialism. I don't believe them, but that is what, to my knowledge, that's what
it's written in their constitution.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It was mostly state-owned.
I knew it was like all state-owned shit, but
it mostly,
yeah,
not all. It had to convert to like over the last 30, 40 years, it had to convert out. Otherwise, it was going to get eaten by every other
Dengism kind of shit. Like I know, like they're more accurately described as like a state capitalist country. Is that fair to say?
That'd be one way to describe it.
Yeah,
it has to be.
Yeah. That's I'm saying, but yeah, that's sure. I don't. That's not a communist country though, and also I don't like China or any of the so-called communist countries. Like, sure, I like Americans, and I think our democracy is cool, and I think we should just do better.
I like Americans over the age of 35. Anybody underneath of the age of 35 should be drug out to the street and shot.
Well, then
honestly, fair.
We need a next generation.
Please, let's go. Do it. End it all now, please, God.
Yeah, I don't
me
know.
out.
I don't know how the country would continue at that point, but I guess
Dude, same thing.
At that point, it's y'all's problem. All right, I ain't got. Look, okay, I'm one of them who get dragged out and shot. All right, at that point, it's y'all's rodeo. Y'all
Same
fix
thing.
it.
That there's not much to change. It still survives. Do exactly what we're doing now. Rely on immigration.
Oh, I see.
Based. Fucking Joshua Jones, pro-immigration authoritarian.
Oh, I'm not pro-immigration. I'm just saying that's what they have. That's how they cope with it.
Oh well. Damn. Thought you might have been. At least
Why
slightly
would we?
based.
Why did we just shoot everyone under 35 again? Just because they're annoying?
Because they're all a bunch of fuck nuts. Oh, look, I read a book. I think I know something, and I've lived an experienced life for a whole 2 minutes.
They don't even
Yeah.
read the books
Yeah,
anymore.
no. It's not YouTube videos. We've watched TikToks. Get it right. All right,
Yeah,
we're all on
TikToks.
TikTok now.
You're all
Haven't
high on
banned that yet.
all you kids these days. You're all high on them TikToks and out there like smoking your doobies and everything.
Hell yeah.
No,
Smoking our vapes.
my prescription was to repeal the 19th and then basically change the voting system to 1 vote per family. That's how you fix the the dumbass bitches voting for their stupid shit, and then dealing with the damn kids that are, I don't know, incompetent bags of shit voting against their own best interest, and then bitching about it.
As tempting as that is, I don't
How do
think
you
that's a
define a
liberal
household,
solution.
Do I? Well, unfortunately, when you repeal the 19th, they're going to end up getting it back because all those single mothers. That's technically a household. I'm literally using like the IRS definition of it.
That's an interesting. I know. I mean, I can. It's like I think I agree with what I think Jeff was about to say. As tempting as it is, I don't think. I think that feels rather illiberal still to me. But yeah.
Oh no. There's every system.
One citizen, one vote.
Yeah, every system is gonna have its problems. That's just a lesser of all the evils. Of course, like I said,
that is your opinion, Josh.
I'll jump back
I
out.
still want to maintain liberalism.
What do you think?
Well, do you mean liberalism from like 100 years ago? In which case, then I'd be on your I'd be on your side.
No, I mean liberalism like we have it today, or we had it for most of my life.
No.
Oh
no,
yeah.
I'm for like a lot more harsher punishments, like a lot more harsh. Kind of like Hitler did with dealing with drug use, right?
Hey, that's separate from liberalism because when you commit a crime, you're taking yourself out of that system anyway.
So then, to what, defeat the entire system? All you have to do is just basically create a bunch of laws that outlaw whatever the hell you dislike socially.
Yeah, but that's harder to do through the liberal process.
You want your choice of types of pornography and all that shit. Well, we'll just like outlaw all of it.
That is true. I do want my choice.
Especially this day and age.
Pornography.
You can try.
So I mean, like, well, I don't know. Trying part, they could just make it illegal. There's shit. Enforcing that would be like trying to.
I hardly look at the porn anymore because I can come up with better stuff in my head than what I see in the porn now. Like my imagination is more powerful than any porn I'm seeing lately.
Also, broadly, I just prefer drawn porn. Broadly, anyways.
Plus, they're having the AI porn, which is coming and ruining everything.
Ugh.
I'm
anti-valley porn.
I've absolutely loved how women have fucked themselves out of OnlyFans now. They got those 2 AI porn bots. They have now recorded, I think it's $2.3 million in revenue in 1 year.
They've what?
And they're not even real women?
Yeah, they're just like some kind of animated AI. I don't know. It's like graphical based.
I want
an
AI guest I can bring on.
I've never understood the appeal of the OnlyFans stuff anyway. Like, I guess like you.
I've never understood paying for it at all.
Yeah, I don't.
Paying for porn. Period. I've never paid for porn. Period.
I got news for you, Jeff. no matter what you do, you're always going to pay for pussy. There's no such thing as free pussy, right? Even if you get married to it,
Well,
you're still
I don't
paying
think
for it.
I don't think Jeff has any experience with that. But I mean,
Wait, hold on. Wait. Hey, Jeff, your entire life, you've never been with a woman? You never even just tried it? Not once?
Nope.
that is
No
Damn.
desire at all.
typically that is typically how gay people are. Not always.
Well,
you know,
I had to ask, right? I mean,
Have
you
you
didn't have to. You
have
did not
you
have to.
tried it?
Yeah. I was about to say.
have I ever tried a dick? Nope, not other than my own. No.
No. Have you tried pussy? Because you definitely give
No,
off,
that's
like-
what I meant. He answered my question.
Oh, okay.
Same situation.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
isn't that normal?
I've tried my own, but if I only have to rely on my own, then what the fuck do I need anybody else for?
Try your own. What do you mean by that? Like, you suck your own.
I could just jerk off if I really could. If the mood really hits you and you just have to rub one out, well then, what the hell do I need anybody else
I'll be
for?
honest,
When
Joshua.
the
All
food
right?
hits you.
Jerking off is not.
First of all, you have a wife.
All right.
You have least need of that than
I'd almost rather jerk off than have to deal with her like, I want another baby. Yeah, I'm seems like less hassle.
I'm already worried about your first one. Don't
Oh, the first one's doing awesome.
repeat
Aside
that.
aside from the first one's doing pretty damn good.
He's
Actually,
doing awesome until she has an affair on you, and then his life is fucked.
Oh well, no. If she has an affair, she's dead. That's just all there is to it.
See, I was about to make a fucking joke. Oh my god, Joshua.
No. This was a whole podcast. We did this.
Yeah, two
Yeah.
or three of them. I'm surprised it's still three.
I'm absolutely not joking with that answer. I'm dead serious about it.
Yeah, no, we
In
know.
Minecraft, I'm sure. I know, like for the stream, this is all in my. We're talking about Minecraft, government people,
Yeah.
NSA people.
Yeah,
We're
this is
talking
all
about
Minecraft.
This is all happening in
This is
Minecraft.
a comedy show, like Paul says.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't play Minecraft.
Joshua,
Nope, I'm talking about real life here, and I'm not going around it.
I was gonna make a joke. You can't just like be the what's that like
Sociopath.
the Dunning-Kruger effect? I
Oh.
think is that the one where it's like like
Yeah, people think they know more. Like they have this illusion that they know more than they actually do.
oh no, I was talking about the one where like they're so ridiculous they can't even be parodied because they
Oh,
just
the
believe the
we
parody
talked about
thing.
this the other day. What's it called? Is it Godwin's law?
Godwin's law is that when you mention Hitler and
Yeah.
What's the one where something's beyond parody?
I can't.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Hang on.
I
Someone
think
said it
I-
on here the other day.
Yeah, I've heard it before too, and I can't think what it is.
I cannot think of what the fuck that was.
Yeah, Dunning-Kruger effect is like the less people know, the more they think they know.
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I can't remember what because like I've definitely met people who like are definitely beyond parody. There was one guy who was like super like anti-Semitic but like very explicit about it. Like he wasn't like a Nazi. He just like really didn't like Jewish people. And like one time I remember he made like
Let me ask ChatGPT.
a weird joke and like I kind of like laughed and like was like haha that's funny, and then he like looked at me, he's like nah man really like Jews actually control the world, and like went on his fucking spiel, and I was like oh I did not know that about you, and I don't think I needed to. Also he was like a quarter Jewish too, which is
I mean, wasn't Hitler wasn't he part Jewish too? So.
yeah, no, they yeah. I mean, fucking all the Nazis were all the degenerates of their own standards. They were all like hardly any of them were even Aryan. Hitler wasn't even Aryan. He was fucking Austrian. He was a brown-haired, brown-eyed Austrian.
Yep.
And then all the like higher ups were like these drug-addicted fucking cucks. Yeah, they were. All that shit is just projection, you know.
For sure, yeah. No, I mean, I try to look it up, and I even asked I asked the Bing AI and everything, and all it says is it just means it's called self parody or parody proof. That's all it sees. I don't see anybody like that. I don't see any term for that, so I don't know.
I don't know. I can't remember what it was. I know like it's been a thing because it was like
ChatGPT is down. I'm gonna try Google Bard.
oh, okay.
Anyway,
What's ChatGPT down for? Is it just like
I don't know.
temporarily
it's
down?
a conspiracy, I'm sure.
I'm sure. God, one of the guys in my polycule he fucking loves AI. He like pays for ChatGPT 4 and like all this stuff. He loves AI.
Oh, well,
It's like
that's
his
what it
shit.
is. That's the term for being beyond parody is called being woke. Forgot. Sorry.
God, I wish. No, they're still parodyable. Thankfully, it's still possible to make fun of them. Sometimes depends on the person. If they're like one of those
Trump
Who's
was
that?
kind of beyond parody. You know, he was going to be on parody. He was like that. That was the reason why. That's the reason why like all these people that tried to make a living off of making Trump jokes for 4 years. To me, I think
they were
more than anything because like they couldn't come up with anything more ridiculous than somebody to say.
Yeah.
So
No, one of the
was
things
just,
I
like,
will say,
funny.
Trump has been a boon for like comedy on the news.
In the
as
sense
in-
of like of them presenting things he would say factually,
Yes.
and then
And
funny.
it's hilarious because it's
Yeah,
just
but when people
comedians doing it was cringe as fuck.
Yeah.
Except for that one guy, I have seen there's this one comedian who like he does the best Trump impersonation. Like it's actually really funny. And like part of
the best ones I've seen are just, but they just sound they
Oh my God! Why are people so worried about AI and think it's so wonderful? I've asked it 3 or 4 times. It cannot tell me what this stupid law is. It's on the tip of my brain.
it's been on the tip of my brain too. I just have accepted that I'm just gonna
I'm
remember
not
it in
impressed
6
with
hours.
AI. I'm sorry. I don't know what people are freaking out about or getting excited about.
But the AI thing, I've been saying the same thing for a long time. That
Yeah.
AI has not shown me a single example of it being truly creative in any sense. It only can spit out things that is input into it. It cannot. It can maybe put things together, and it can basically randomize the order of things in a way that might give you a unique, like, in the same way that a random number sequencer would in general. For numbers, but it's not going to
It's
ever.
interesting technology.
It can write a movie script.
It can write a bad movie script.
And it could write a business plan, and it could even generate Dungeons and Dragons characters. You just tell it what you want it to be, what you want to be.
Oh yeah, no. It can do things like that to a degree. I wouldn't say a good degree because I've used it for that, and it really just does it to a degree. It really depends on, I guess, the way in which you're interacting with it. Again, it's a tool. It's a useful tool. It's not like revolutionary.
What's the difference between playing Dungeons and Dragons and watching anime? Aren't they both the same kind of bitchy thing?
What?
Well, I don't watch anime and I do play D&D, so there's some kind of difference. Well, D&D is more interactive.
Yeah, D&D is a game. Anime is an
entire genre.
I'm talking about the people that participate in it.
I mean, I know people who
I've been a D&D nerd since I was like 11 or 12.
So it's definitely a nerd. It's definitely a nerd thing because I kind of the same view with the anime.
Not even necessarily, because I've known people who definitely aren't nerds who watch anime. I've run games for people who like are very explicitly not nerds, and they play like
were
one
they
campaign.
If they're playing D&D, they're nerds.
Were they what, Joshua?
Were they Asian?
No.
Okay.
Not the specific people I'm talking about. I mean, I've played D&D with Asian people. They weren't like they were like Asian Americans, like they were just ethnically Asian, but
I mean, most people. I mean, geek culture became as big. It got big enough to the point where it got absorbed into regular culture, and
yeah,
I don't think you can really say that like just like playing D&D or liking anime to any degree makes you a nerd automatically.
I was gonna say the D&D movie was like a blockbuster over the summer. Like it's very it's not that good. Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the fucking Year.
It was okay. It was just generic.
Yeah.
Chris, are you saying that even the nerds dropped their standards and even they let anybody into the group?
In
It's
a
not
lot of
let.
cases, yeah. I mean,
I mean, it's
there
not even.
are some
What do you mean by letting
No
people?
non-nerd is going to stick around for more than one, maybe two D&D games.
I actually disagree, Jeff. I've actually
No, that's a fact. That's not even opinion.
Okay.
I have
I've never played it. I've never
had
played it, so I
people.
can't say.
I've had people who were explicitly very jock-like. They were very smart. Now
So
the
they were
guy I'm
crypto nerds, is what we're saying.
yeah, there's
They
the
were
crypto nerd. Yeah. I mean, like he was really smart. He went to school for like fucking he went to school for business and physics or finances and physics. He did like a fucking double major. He's got like a master's and shit. Like he's a really smart dude. He's just like he doesn't even really like math. He just liked playing D&D. So I mean, most of it is like you're hanging out with your friends, you know.
Yeah.
And like when we did it, we would just like hang out and like drink beer and fucking shoot the shit half the time. But that's D&D. That's D&D too, just as much as the
Because
game.
people take it super seriously. Yeah, that's definitely.
Well, I take it kind of seriously. In
Yeah,
the
no,
sense
I mean
that-
I do too. But I think both taking it seriously and taking it casually is both playing D&D. And you don't have to be a
I mean,
nerd.
talking about anime. I mean, I grew up with. I knew some real anime nerds. I've watched a few animes I liked, and I dislike more animes. I like Cowboy Bebop a lot, and I like Evangelion a lot, and I like a couple others, and like beyond that, like most of the stuff they have on like what that Crunchyroll or like whatever, like the
Yeah,
most of the anime they translate from that. Most of that stuff is just like beyond my comprehension. It's just weird weeb shit I don't get. But I mean,
no,
but there can be good anime and there can be bad anime. I mean, the anime doesn't just get. There are people that are just into things because they're anime and they don't even care about the quality of it.
You see what you started?
I'm just all convinced it's pretty much a bunch of pedo training cartoons.
I mean, there definitely is an issue in anime. Yeah, no, actually, that was actually one of the things that sort of like, because I used to, when I was younger, I used to like be big into like, following each season of anime, all the new anime that were coming out, and I'd like watch a bunch of them, and it kind of turned me off of it, like, because I would watch, I'd watch. There'd be a couple good things every season, but then there'd be like one or two shows that would have just really, really creepy shit. Like having the like, oh, here's this little girl, but she's actually an 8,000-year-old demon dragon. But like, she, and then all that sexualization, and that just kind of feeds into, I guess, a lot of like Japanese cultural norms, which aren't good, that sort of feed into it, and that's kind of part of the problem.
Japan is the only
who are
country
you
where
to
you
judge?
buy dirty panties out of a vending machine. So.
I mean, I am me. I am me judging it. That is me judging it. It is possible to judge another culture on a moral issue. Yeah.
Yeah, but are you judging it intelligently? Or are you just having a reaction to their norm?
There's just some weird sexual stuff in Japanese. Like I said, you can buy women's dirty panties out of vending machines over there. It's like a thing that exists.
Are you serious?
It's not a common thing, but it is a thing.
Capitalism for you, I guess.
I'm dead serious. Like I bet. Well, I don't know if they still, maybe not anymore. I don't know. But
where did they get the panties from? Like, can women?
Show Attack of the Show used to be on G4, and there was a whole set. They did this. They used to have like this person that would go over to Japan every now and then. They do these segments in Japanese sports like that. They actually had one of the people over there, and they actually bought they bought several pairs of these panties out there, and just to see if it was real. And yeah, it was real. It was very real. Very disgusting. It's very cool.
And just broadly, anime has, at least in the past, it's gotten, I don't want to say better, but a lot of the more popular anime doesn't have as much of the pedo shit anymore.
Like Cowboy Bebop isn't like
no. That's much older. The sort of the pedo shit kind of became popularized in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it didn't really fall out of favor until the late.
And Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have any of it, or not when I played it. So there's one.
Yeah, I was going to say D&D can be whatever you want. I mean, when I was in high school, the first game I played in, my one of my friends, his character was raped by an ogre in a game, and I mean, we were like fucking dumbass 16-year-olds. So like we thought it was the funniest shit in the world. And I look back on that and I like cringe internally about how stupid that was and about how like kind of gross it was. But that's kind of because it is what you make of it, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing intrinsically to anything in D&D I've ever seen that makes it.
That's because
Any tabletop
Yeah.
role playing game that I've ever seen that has any intrinsic, like, I'm sure there are some. There's probably some.
No, there definitely are some systems, but like, I mean, you can just it is what you make of it because it's a more interactive storytelling medium.
You can always take out whatever you want or leave in
Yeah.
whatever you want,
or
stuff like that.
include what you want. Yeah, I mean, most D&D games that I've participated in, like I at least if I'm running them, I usually go, hey, look, I don't really like these themes for this setting, so I'm not gonna have any of this stuff. And like, you know, that's my preference. And I don't really like playing in games where other people that is their preference usually. I don't usually like to participate in D&D games where sexual assault is like a
I wouldn't want to play a really rapey D&D game myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are people there. I know there are people who do, but that's not me. I don't really.
Those are that's the, I mean, but I do see the crossover between people that do that kind of thing and weebs, kind of like they do kind of intersect. Joshua does have a point there.
Yeah.
That the hardcore weeb people that actually watch tentacle hentai type shit and also play D&D probably play really creepy rapey D&D. So
Yeah.
in that sense that those two things do definitely intersect that way. There's some intersectionality for you.
There's some intersection. There we go. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm here for that kind of intersectionality. No, I fucking hate that shit. Most of the weebs I know, actually, that's like part of the reason why they don't like calling themselves like weebs or anything is because of that sort of association.
I wouldn't want that title on me either.
Yeah, no,
it's not a flattering title to
Yeah. No.
I didn't even know what it meant for the longest time until I looked it up, like, I don't know, a couple of years back, and I kept hearing it being used all the time. It's kind of the same thing as like when you start hearing the term simp or whatever, you know, and you don't know what it means for a while, you know, and then finally when you finally are like, oh, okay, so it's an insult. Well, it's usually an insult.
Yeah, oh no, it's absolutely an insult. I mean, sometimes I'll talk about it how like, oh yeah, I'm such a simp for whatever X, Y, or Z, you know, whatever, and that's usually that's a self-deprecating piece of humor usually. So actually, yeah, no, it is still an insult.
It definitely is. It's such a weird thing. It's such a weird part of call. I mean, I guess the term simp really rose alongside the OnlyFans thing. I guess that's really where that.
Yeah, that is really where it did. Sometimes I'll jokingly call myself a cuck because I'm in a polyamorous relationship, and it's funny.
See, I told you, commies are just useless fuckers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a degen. OG degen.
Generation degen.
Yeah.
Degenerating a nuclear family.
Gen D.
Gen D. Hell yeah. Let's go. We're all a bunch of fucking polyamorous communists. Let's go. That's Joshua's biggest fear is a bunch of like 25-year-old gay polyamorous communists. That's like that's like the shit that's in his nightmares.
Well, none of them seem to really want children or anything like that. So for the most part, they're just going to die out.
True.
Well, doesn't your chances of having children increase with the amount of partners you have?
I suppose so.
It doesn't increase if none of your partners have wombs, though. That's how you get around it.
Can't any gender get pregnant now?
Yeah, I said if your partners don't
do you
have
even
wombs,
need a womb? Do you need a womb?
You do need a womb to get pregnant, Jeff. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we just had a nasty conversation about trans I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago on Riskies. It was obviously I went off on my anti-woman spiel and then explained that women suck at even being women. So the trannies came along and they're a bunch of dudes that are better at being women than they are. It's fucking hilarious. Oh God. They wanted to throw me off the panel. They really wanted to throw me off the fucking
Was that
panel.
on Chaotix? On Chaotic?
No, Riskies.
Oh.
I don't know.
Excellent.
There was some trans topic that came up the other day that we were wanting to live for.
Ex-boys make the best women. Let's go.
Yeah, there was something.
Oh.
There's something that we specifically were saying, like, we wish Liv was here for this conversation the other day. I can't remember what it was.
The thing I most don't understand about trans people is they're really restricting their dating pool. They're taking them out of, like, most gay men don't want to sleep with a trans person, and most straight people don't want to sleep with a trans guy or male, female, whatever. So they're if you're a male and you're transitioning to a female, you're cutting most straight people and most gay people out of your dating pool at that point.
Yeah.
And same with the other gender.
That is kind of a byproduct of it, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I have extremely limited like attraction like parameters myself. So I mean, you can say the same thing. Anybody is extremely selective about people they're attracted to or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that for anybody, I guess.
I mean, yeah, that is true. I am absolutely self-selecting myself out of a good portion of the dating pool, because there are a lot of people who won't date someone who's trans. I mean, obviously, a gay man probably wouldn't want to date me. That's fine. I wouldn't want to date a gay, and nothing against gay men, but like I don't. If a gay man would date me, that would mean that the gay man wouldn't see me as a woman, and I wouldn't want to date somebody who didn't see me as the gender that I want to.
Do you have straight guys that are dating you or
No,
want to date you?
Not that are dating me. However, there is a straight guy in my polycule who is dating a non-binary person.
Like a woman, a straight woman.
No, they're pansexual as well, but
they're a woman. He's a straight guy dating a woman.
They're AFAB, yeah. I mean, okay. I definitely wouldn't. See, this is part of the thing, right? Is like it's not just about like they're not like a woman. Like, okay, so they present very masculine.
We're all non-binary. They're a woman.
They have a pussy. They present very masculine to the point that, like, honestly,
are they straight?
No, they're pansexual.
Oh, okay.
That's Actually, three quarters of the polycule is pansexual.
Okay, this is I think this is part of the question. What's the difference between pansexual and bisexual? Really,
nothing.
It's nothing. It's the word that you use. I use the term bi to refer to myself. I just pansexual. Etymologically, like, I prefer the term pansexual because it is literally a better descriptor of the way that I view sexual attraction.
But you want somebody to date you or be attracted to you as though you were a woman.
Yes, that if somebody dates me, I would like them to view my gender the way that I do. Yes.
It seems like if you're pansexual, though, that wouldn't really enter into it then, because you'd be attracted to the person regardless of their gender, sexual orientation, or sex or biological sex.
But the gender is part of the person, like his femininity or womanhood or whatever is part of who he is as a person.
Yeah, I would want the person to respect my gender identity. Because, like, say if for instance there was like a gay man, right, who wanted to date me, okay, because they were gay and a man, that would mean, and they would want to date me, that would mean that they necessarily would be viewing me as a man.
Yeah.
Which to me is like a, I mean, you're allowed to, but like, I don't want to date somebody who wouldn't like respect my gender in that kind of way.
What the fuck does that even mean? Respect my the hell does that mean?
that they
God,
would view me as a woman.
Well, that's not just okay. Then how does that fit with the word respect?
Respect, as in view my
He's
gender.
he's being misogynistic.
I mean, that's fine.
I'm not being misogynistic as shit. It literally doesn't fit in the definition. Is that what we're doing? Since we had to change the definition of communism and all that, are we also changing the definition of
It
the
does
word respect?
happen a lot
too?
around here, or it does attempt to happen a lot around here.
Jesus,
Hang on.
fucking Christ.
What word do you take issue that you believe that I'm changing?
Respect. The word respect.
Yeah, as in they would view my gender in the way that I view my gender.
Yeah. What part of that is like due regard? How is that earned?
What?
Are you just taking them at their word?
Look up the definition. Look up Webster's or Oxford. I don't give a fuck. Look up the definition of respect and tell me how that word fucking applies.
Well, I don't care about the definition. I care about how are you? What are you? How are you?
Okay. I just want to use the word however the fuck I want. Got it. Understand.
Well, I mean, that is what words are.
No. Now we're just talking different languages. You might as well be speaking Latin.
Do words have intrinsic definitions then?
Yes.
Hang on.
Yes,
Joshua,
we're gonna have these things called standards. This is the problem that I have with degeneracy across the board, right? There's standards. There were these guidelines that we lived by, and then people have all of a sudden saying, "Oh well, fuck this. We want to eat." I'll tell you what. I'll give up the word respect if I'm allowed to now no longer apply it ever.
Well,
society doesn't
anyway.
Well,
society does not dictate who gets respected. It's earned.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
And in fairness, he didn't say that either. He said a person who wants to date him, he would want to respect him. He's not making demands that everybody else respect him.
Yeah.
No. Well, see, now he's using the word like you have to respect a gender.
No, he was only talking about a romantic partner.
Yeah. If for my romantic partners, I would yes, I do require for somebody to be my romantic partner, they would at a bare minimum have to like respect me and my gender as a person. That is true. Yes.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can. None of you do. I don't.
I don't even know what it means. My romantic partner. It sounds weird to say, but
somebody romantically interested in. Do you know how human interaction works, Josh?
No, never took a class on it. Have no clue what it means. Why don't you educate me?
Apparently, you just don't know how. Just it works just broadly.
Yeah. You're right. I had no fucking clue what the fuck you people are talking about when you change definitions of words. See, this is what happens when you let go of standards. You just confuse the fuck out of everybody, and then we just write you off as a nut job.
I'm definitely the one that comes off as a nut job in this conversation. Yes.
I have another question. Do you have a diagnosis? Do you have a diagnosis from a doctor?
Of what? I mean,
gender dysphoria.
Of gender dysphoria? No, I've never.
Okay.
Gender dysphoria.
So I'm going to just, nothing.
That's
nothing burger. Just a gigantic.
That's why I'm a
gigantic nothing burger.
That's why I'm a trans trender, Joshua.
It's a nothing burger unless you're in his romantic, romantic circle. Then
it's just an excuse to park my dick wherever I want and fucking try to sound some type of weird way about it.
What?
Well, if he's wanting to be seen as a woman, I don't know that the parking of the dick would even be a factor.
Well, if he wants to, I guess
I don't know that he's
using the other person to park the dick
everywhere.
Yeah, I guess I'm mostly. It's very funny the Joshua's just kind of reaction to. I guess me living my life. It's interesting, you know. So many times I'm told that us on the left, we're trying to force other people to live their lives, but then, you know, old Joshua comes around, and, you know, I get to be reminded that it's not just the woke scolds that are trying to get people.
But he didn't tell you to do anything. He's just reacting to what you're doing. He's for an authoritarian.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
I understand both of you. I
Yeah,
understand his frustration with the attempt to change linguistic norms.
And I also think Liberty. I think you're one of the most reasonable, and like, you know, understandable and understanding people with that kind of a intelligent perspective I've ever met. So I mean,
understandable. Did you just call him understandable?
Yeah, I mean,
now see how this fucking shit works, right? Like,
I'm
it's
gonna
just
give you a third
contagious
one.
disease.
I'm going to make it 3 because I also understand his desire to be seen as the gender that he thinks he is in his head. I don't see
we're normalizing.
I understand why in a partner he would want that.
Are we normalizing delusions now?
We're normalizing adult self-determination, or I am.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I can pretend to do whatever the fuck I want. You know what? Here,
you can.
I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna pull. I'll pull the Matt Walsh card here real quick. I'm going to pretend that I'm always fucking right. How about that one? Now respect that.
You'd have to pretend to pull that off.
Yeah. that was a very good one. I mean, like, you're allowed to, Joshua. We're just not required to necessarily agree with you.
No, you have to respect it. No, tell me you respect it.
No, we don't. And Lib is not demanding you respect me.
He's saying he doesn't care if we call him whatever. He's saying
no. I can use the word. I can define the word however the fuck I want. I might mean something else.
Okay.
I mean, sure, yeah, you can.
Oh,
I don't
my
have to
God.
agree with you, but you can.
Now I'm on Joshua's side because that is what happens. Every time we're having a conversation, it's like, oh yeah, but that's just the dictionary definition. The real definition is this new version that we made up 5 minutes ago.
Not 5 minutes ago, but I do
it
think there's a more nuanced.
Genocide. Genocide has a very clear definition in the dictionary. Oh yeah, but the UN definition is different.
Wait. Well, no. I wasn't. I was never talking about the dictionary definition of genocide. I was always explicitly talking about
right. But so if we're going to use
genocide
words, we have to have some kind of common basis for those words. Everybody can't have their own version of the definition.
Sure. I mean,
otherwise we need to think of a third term that we can agree on to use for the concepts that we're trying to use the original.
No. We just don't communicate.
And that's even more complicated.
No, it's not complicated at all. All you have to do is cut communication. Hey, look, motherfucker, I'm speaking English. You're speaking.
It keeps showing up. Y'all both keep showing up on my show.
I keep showing up to pester him. You know, I won't let go.
No, we make it work. Like I get something out of attempting to communicate with both of you.
God, I might be an asshole,
it is
but I'm not
frustrating when, like, I'm using the standard definitions of words according to the dictionary, or the last time I looked at the dictionary, and there's all these new versions that they're being replaced with, and if you're not with the new version, you somehow can't participate in the conversation.
I mean, I don't think you can't participate in the conversation.
And the culture wars are language wars, and
I'd rather not participate with the new version.
For what it's worth, Jeff, I broadly, I don't like the whole like semantic thing. I'm not trying to, like, whenever I talk about these things, I'm not trying to like trick people or anything. I usually try and be explicit that, hey, this is the word I'm using and this is the concept that I'm referring to. I try to do that as best as I can. You know, it does the word that I'm using.
Oh, hi, Samar.
Oh, hey. How are you? What's up?
Hi, guys. I'm really enjoying the conversation. Probably have a little bit to put in, but I want to carry on and listen.
At least somebody is.
Yeah. Sure. Oh, yeah, I'm surprised. This is the conversation that's getting enjoyed. Well, we need more of this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. So carry on, and I'll jump in a minute. I'm going to grab a drink.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make myself a damn coffee.
Oh, coffee sounds so good right now.
Fuck off! You don't get any goddamn coffee, you commie. Get out there and get a job. Fucking buy your own damn coffee.
He has a job working for a coffee company.
yeah.
Get
That's
that.
right. Welcome to capitalism. I forgot. Shit. I apologize.
I guess. I mean, before this, I don't have a job.
I mean,
but I do,
if
like,
you were really a
contract
commie lib, you would just find someone else that has coffee and take half of it from them. Anyway.
True.
You guys are
true,
actually really killing me, and I'm enjoying it.
true. I would. Yeah. Though actually, the other stuff that I do for work is I do like contract work, which isn't really I don't like call it a job because it's.
Yeah, that's kind of work I do too. I'm just saying, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, it's just not
Contract work.
It's not as consistent, unfortunately. For
It's
me,
not a
so-
real job, but it pays the bills.
Yeah. Well, yours is definitely more real than mine is. Mine is like
I don't
literally.
know.
I have
Mine
a
might
dude.
be coming to an end.
I have a dude who like calls me up and is like, "Hey, can you go get in this bucket and go up really high and put this shit on a wall?"
That sounds fun. I'd
It
much
is.
rather do
That's fine.
Yeah, it sounds
Speaking-
terrible. I'm bad with. I have vertigo, so even like this.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's
I used to be afraid of heights, and then I started working the sign business, and I got over that shit real fast.
Speaking of women, where the hell's my therapist? Where the hell's she at?
She's not going to be with us for a while. She's having personal life stuff happening. So
Oh, she finally get a man?
no.
Shit. It's kind of rooting for her.
We have another lovely woman or female or lady with us tonight, right here. So
Do we
be
need to abuse her?
No, be respectful. We already lost viewers behind your misogyny.
Yeah, but the problem is it's just stated obvious facts.
I'm sure. Yeah, they're very obvious facts.
Well, I still want you to be respectful to my female guest.
Are you changing that definition now?
No.
Well, no, but somewhere is a female. I'm not talking about Liv. You can keep.
Oh yeah, you can say whatever the
carry
fuck you
on
want.
with
Really
him,
give a
but
shit.
I'm talking about.
Why can't we just use the word be civil? Civility. That's what you fuckers really need.
Well,
Be
you
civil.
but you
I'm
aren't.
fine with
civil.
that.
Be civil. Like for once, I want try it just one time. Be civil.
Oh, that's a big ask. I want you to know that's a real big ask. I'm not a civilized person.
You're the one that just suggested it. And you're like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, now I'm thinking about it because I know what that is, and so I'm too old for this shit. I really am. I'm way too old for this shit.
The He-Man women hating.
Hello.
We have a woman in our.
Wait. Hold up. Let me practice here. Hello, ma'am.
Oh God.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. So what is old? Let's get introduced here.
Let's see here. I walk with a walker. Probably carry a oxygen tank around with me every once in a while. Let's see here. I got gray in my beard and in my hair.
You sound about maybe 38 to 43.
Oh, she good.
Oh, that was a very good guess. Right dead set in the middle there. You got me.
Did I? Okay, so what's your age?
40. Just turned.
Oh, okay.
Oh, happy
Okay,
birthday.
and then we have Lib. Happy birthday, absolutely.
Fuck Lib. He's nobody important. Nobody gives a shit about him.
He certainly is. He's a
Fair,
valuable
to be
member of
honest-
this community.
I
as
care
you
about
all are.
you. I do.
See, there we go, changing definitions again.
Liv is a friend of mine. I consider him a friend. I consider you a friend too. But I consider
Okay. Considering the fact that you consider both me and him your friend, you have really fucking low standards.
that might be the case. That may be the case, but nonetheless.
Okay.
I consider friends people that like I have interactions with that I find to be enlightening and interesting. I learn from in some way, and that that I can have an exchange of ideas with, and I have exchanged ideas with both of you, and both. And I think you're both interesting people in your own right, and I guess you're both friends. So I mean, that's.
Can you give me an example of how I may have
Was that
or
a
even lived?
cupcake?
And pick your pick. Pick your poison here. Which one of us? Give us an example of something that we might have enlightened you on.
I mean, you told us a lot about actual political stuff that I have
Yeah,
no idea.
Israel
Oh,
and that kind of stuff.
Your information from working for the State Department has been very, very enlightening in a lot of ways. And me and Liv just had a lot of good conversation on Discord and on here about all sorts of things, everything from movies and music to just stuff that we have in common and common interest in. And so yeah.
Got it. We might as well just change that word from enlightenment because it's got a little magical and it's got a little magical.
I didn't mean
Yeah.
I didn't mean
Let's just call it informed.
Okay, I guess I didn't mean to use the term enlightenment. If I used that, I didn't mean to. But I mean, still,
A little bit of a reach-around term.
Yeah, there you go.
Damn, that was a good descriptor. Okay, now I like her. Yeah, okay.
Wow,
She's really cool, man.
We'll put it in there.
Fucking please.
She used to be a showgirl back in the day. So
She's from Vegas. Vegas are the best people. I'm telling you.
It's not incorrect.
Those were the days.
It's the worst place to live, but that state.
No, Vegas was my favorite place. My favorite city I've ever lived in.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
like
Jeff's our biggest cheerleader. It's amazing to listen to him.
It is. It was a special place.
it's a fucking desert. Deserts.
me and
Yeah.
Jeff.
Maybe I just don't like deserts. That just must be it.
Well,
Weirdly enough, me and Jeff lived in Vegas at the same time, and he probably even came to Rocky Horror at the movie theater I managed that had Rocky Horror at it. So,
yeah, I did go a few times.
we crossed paths like in the past without even realizing it. Isn't that funny?
Which one was it, Chris?
I used to manage the Tropicana.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I until it got sold to another company or somebody else who ran it to the ground really quickly, and then it turned into something entirely. And they were running a nightclub out for a while. I don't know what they're doing with it now. Maybe it's a movie theater again, but back before I moved out of there, it had turned into several different weird things. So
There was a few that went out, like the Huntridge, and I believe in the 80s they used to play Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I'm not sure if they've turned it into something since. And then there was another they opened up down, I believe, where it was called something Blue Moon or something like that. But there was a movie theater in there. It was right on the Strip, and that was just before I had moved. And it was in the mall section. It was pretty large, and my son worked there for a little while. Made pretty good money, but
I don't know about that much,
that's
but
the last time.
I went to the Huntridge one time when they were doing they were doing concerts there for a little while. And
Ooh,
then
one second. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna swap to my phone because I gotta actually get going. But I'll still be talking. I just gotta swap to my
Don't
phone.
go nowhere. You're fun.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I just switched to my laptop. My damn phone died.
It's all right. Everybody has technical issues and stuff sometimes. I can't even do this. I can't even StreamYard doesn't even work on the phone. I have barely. It crashes.
I've never tried it on the phone yet.
It works fine on the phone. I just gotta find a.
I'm on my phone. I'm just wondering, am I echoing at all, or does it sound like there's a demon in the background or anything?
No, you sound
I'm on here, but no, you sound fine. You come in
Oh,
very
thanks so
clear.
much. Yeah, I was having issues last time I used it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, how have you been lately? Somewhere.
Oh, I'm doing all right. I didn't have the best of a Thanksgiving. My daughter did fly out from Vegas. Yeah, it wasn't very good. We lasted maybe 2 days. I picked her up and everything was good. Yeah, no, she's got her own clinic. She's a physical therapist in Vegas. She's a doctor. She's very indoctrinated. Very yeah, very like throws the gaslight out on me, and then will just like pull back and play victim with her mother. And it's really not appropriate when I'm just like gushing love and just so unconditional and wanting to just like experience this time. And she picked up my son's baby when she was here, and it seemed like she just clicked. And she's 6 years old, my granddaughter, the one that's here. And it's like she just clicked when she was around. And it's like I don't know what she reverted in, but I'm going to give you a little story that I think it's just absolutely, I don't even know where it comes from when it comes up in somebody to do this, but it's my own daughter. And I was videotaping, and she brought her rollerblades, and we barely made it through the Starbucks, got home, and didn't make it to dinner that night. But I said, film me. I just got a couple videos of her. And I said, film me as I teach my granddaughter here. I'm going to go up and down the street with her rollerblades. She's 6. And I'm booking and I'm even sweating it. I get back and she blows and she leaves. We don't even go to dinner. I don't see her for the next 3 days and she heads out. Well, I get on my phone and like an hour and a half later, I'm kind of going through it and I'm like, where's the other 2 videos of her with, wait a minute. She didn't even take the video of me with the baby. Like what? So I'm like, no way. So I literally text her. She doesn't text me back, And now I'm like boiling. I'm like, who does this? And this is my own daughter. And she's 32. Like, are you serious right now? So then after it's all said and done, I'm like done. I'm done like, and I'm really upset because I'm like, my heart's broken because I'm a Leo. So I'm really just all passion and love and fire sign, just everything. And so she's born the day after me. So she's just
really?
exactly like
That's fucking sick.
Oh my God. But we just bust heads. It's unbelievable. So after I do that, she sends me no, I'm not kidding. She sends me a 13-second clip off her phone that is like gravel. I'm not kidding. And I was just like, are you kidding me? So you took the time to go in while you were on the sidewalk watching me skating with her and teaching her, and we had a really good flow going. And because I was a nice skater, and I get it, and I was giving her the flow and the rhythm and getting her comfortable, like just being all that I can be. It's like she took an internal like jealousy towards her own niece, my granddaughter, my daughter did this at 32. I just couldn't believe it, Jeff. I couldn't believe it, you guys. I mean, so yeah, that was my Thanksgiving. She went back. I haven't heard from her since. And I got that 13-second clip off her phone.
Has she always been this way?
Since she was about 13, 14, when she moved in with her dad, it seems that they did some work on her mentally, physically, and spiritually. And there was a turn in about 2011 when I had to move out here, but I had gone to court with their dad for no reason. They just slapped it on me. And I won after it was long and drawn out. I represented myself, and they made her fly in from college and be whatever you call it, like a witness, for something complete. It's just so bogus. So anyways, I always walked on eggshells. I never took money from him, the whole bit. I was just did what I had to do to raise him and had good insurance. So when he wasn't around, I would just make excuses. The worst I ever called him was a yo-yo butt. So it wasn't like we did or had anything. And she said to me when she was here, I remember you and Dad fighting. And I thought, no, you didn't. Like, the only time was when I told him I was pregnant with my son. And then the other time was her being mouthy, and I brought her back and I said, no, you need to take care of her. She's getting her mouth from you guys. Like, we don't speak like that under our roof. So I think she has like that split trauma brain where she witnessed them maybe fighting so much under their roof. And then she's gone to therapy for the last 10, 15 years, whatever. And they put her on these RX drugs.
This was after therapy?
Yeah.
She's acting like this?
Yes. And she was actually doing really well. That's why she bought a ticket to come out here and everything was fine. And that's why I think the little 6-year-old in her was triggered by my 6-year-old granddaughter by witnessing like my unconditional love and doing my thing. I think she just kind of did a flip in her head. I can't wrap my head around it, but it was a horrible Thanksgiving. I watched you. You were at your mom's. How'd that go?
We made it through. It's not as bad. Not as bad.
Oh,
she
it was
picked
horrible.
fights.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to pick, and she tested me a few times, but we made it through.
Mm.
But I've done a lot of work. Like I didn't talk to her for over 10 years, and we just started talking during COVID. And I have all these like peer tools and mental health tools in my toolbox that I can use now when I'm triggered or having a reaction around her. And so that helped a lot.
Well, they taught her tapping. I know they taught my daughter tapping. Yeah. What's her dig?
Like, it does sound like she got activated.
If you don't mind me asking.
Do what?
I said, what's her digs? Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, kind of like, what's her dig? What she does?
Just little things. She'll throw little. She doesn't. I don't think she fully. She's always kind of been that way. She's always been distant toward me, even as a kid, and I don't think she fully trusts me to like be a good person or something. Like whatever her standard for children or humans are, I don't think she fully thinks I'm that.
Do you think?
And so she kind of
this is just me?
Kind of like, did you see Ordinary People with Mary Tyler Moore? She's kind of like that. And
okay, so, yeah.
And then I keep her at a distance too, so we can interact, but there's always something ready to bubble under the surface, and it's usually.
So, do you think maybe with that attitude of hers, that maybe instinctually, perhaps inside of her, she might have doubted her, like you said, the Mary Tyler Moore, the feminist side of that. Do you think that inside of her, perhaps maybe she doubted the way that she had raised? I don't know how many siblings you have or whatever. That's why I came on, because I have something to say about the whole the whole LGBT. I have a whole bunch on that, but yeah, I was just wondering, curious, your siblings and how that went.
No, that went great. I hadn't been back home in 15 years, and it was so good to see them and be part of a family and be part of a community. I don't have that up here, and it reminded me how important that is. So I'm giving myself this next year. Find a new place.
Did you have a hug longer than 3 seconds?
Did I what?
Did you have a hug longer than 3 seconds?
Yeah, from all of it, really. Even my mom, like, hug. We hug.
Good.
We hug hello, and
it takes longer. It takes about 3 seconds to exchange that energy between two humans. To actually connect that spark. So
I'd say we had that. By the time it was time to go to the airport, we gave each other a big hug, and we had a nice ride to the airport. And she dropped me off, and I thanked her, and everything was resolved by then. It was just a little tension that builds up from being in the same house together for 2 weeks,
and the anxiety prior to hooking up, right?
The what?
The anxiety you might have after so many years of not seeing siblings or your mom meeting up.
I don't have that anxiety anymore. I'm detached from it. She can, as long as she can leave me alone and let me do my thing, I can leave her alone. And we never were very enmeshed. And so as long as we can kind of let each other be who we are.
That's a good space, yeah.
She did a good job. She let me do my show every day. She didn't bother me. She let me do my show at the dining table and didn't interfere at all. And I thought that was very respectful of her. So I think she tried.
That word.
I was a typical kid to raise anyway, so I was kind of the oddball out. But for Thanksgiving, I was like, I had walked into the main room where everybody was talking. And I heard him talking about my mom. Like she's told me this, and she said this, and the stories they were telling were reminding me of our interactions. So I said to the group, to my family, I said, "So it's not just me, right?" And they all looked at me and they're like, "No, Jeff, it's not just you." So that was very validated that they have some of the that I have.
Oh yeah,
good.
That's one of the things
I was bringing into perspective James saying respect. That's where the word respect. That's a good area to put that word. It fits well there.
Yeah. I think respect's the most important. Respect is an emotion, and it doesn't come easy.
Mm-hmm.
It comes like
Mm-hmm.
very few people inspired in me, but when it's there, that is the foundation of whatever quality of relationship it's going to be from that point forward. And those are some of the best relationships that I can have when that respect is there.
Agree.
Respect and trust. And what we have Lib here. So what are some of the LGBT questions or comments that you had?
Excuse you, Jeff. Did you know that it's actually the LGBTQIA plus community?
You got the T. Because I'm LGB without the T. Like gay, not queer. So that was a courtesy to you.
I know. I was giving you shit. I don't call it queer. Call it LGBT. Call it whatever the fuck you want.
When I was growing, it was just gay, the gay community, or gay and lesbian sometimes. But
I usually use gay or queer just to mean,
and then it became LGBT and LGBTQ and BLT plus.
I concur. I concur. I grew up in it, so I was 17 when I entered show business, and they were all gay. All of my cast members, my co-cast members, my male cast members, and there was nothing to it. So you could be at a dressing table and they'd come rolling through on a unicycle and you'd be there topless putting your makeup on and they'd be like, hey, da da da, and go by and they'd be like, no worries. Like, you never question it. And then I had my daughter in 91 and I brought her with me to the Bahamas and I managed a show and we had trans in the show where they did like half the side would be Diana Ross and the other side would be Lionel Richie, and they would do an act on stage and they would sing that song that the two of them sang together was a duet. And I managed them and I had my daughter there and there was never any borderline crossover, any funky crap that we're hearing now. Okay. I brought that up with you, Jeff, before. We also have to know that I, as a woman, and the baby of 8 with 6 older brothers and a sister, and my other brother that's 2 years older, actually stepped into show business a year prior to me graduating from high school and then getting into show business. So he kind of had the door kicked open. So I went up to Reno, and there I went to a gay bar called, I think it was The Saddle. And that's where he knee bumped me, and he's like, this is the guy you want to talk to. And so I get to talking to this gentleman. And he was a gay gentleman that ran the show Razzle Dazzle. So he brings me in, never sees me on ice skates, and puts a big old hat on my head, about 5 pounds, and says, oh, you're beautiful, and, you know, you're hired. So it was just one of those crazies, and you just lean into it and go. From there, all of my show business years were just wonderful. And my brother went off. He went to South Africa. He did modeling. He did dancing. And he kind of went through his original state of being in the show, and he was gay. Then he went off, and I think in the back of his mind, being bullied, got very fat as a child, and he was bullied by his own brothers. And out of 6 of them, he was the youngest. So you have to think psychologically, he even tried out at this very large age, like 9th grade, to go for football. And he didn't make the team. And he got back. And his brothers teased, you're a pussy. Da, da, da. I remember throwing his helmet down.
Yeah.
By the time he hit 9th grade, that guy shot up to 6'2". Gorgeous. Okay? And right out. And then he went from 8th to 9th. The girls didn't even know who he was, and he was getting attention from the girls. And he thought that that was curious. Like, why are you paying attention to me now when you didn't notice me when I was basically called a Buddha? Okay, so there's this psychological thing that goes in here. Then when he graduated, by the time he was a senior, he went right into, I told you, Jeff, the Frontier, and he was doing Siegfried and Roy before they had landed at the Mirage. So he was an original, Siegfried and Roy. And then he went up to Reno. So that was my gate, was to go at 17 to Reno with my brother and stay in a 2-bedroom apartment with another gentleman who was gay, that was in the show that he was doing, at the Bally's at that time called Hello Hollywood Hello. and I got into Razzle Dazzle. And then from there, he went to South Africa and went through some whatever movement was going on there. He went through Born Again Christian. So now he's given his life to Jesus. He's going to come back, and now he's gone to Reno, and I'm in Atlantic City doing a show for Donald Trump. I think I was there 2.5 years. That was my second show for Reno. So he's back in Reno after South Africa. So with having those older brothers in the back of his mind and my dad, he's going to prove to them that he can produce and he's a man. And he got married and he popped out later, well, 2, and then later another one. But he had 3 children, okay, 2 girls and then a boy. As we go on now, okay, life goes on. They moved from Vegas, and I know why he moves from Vegas. This is after show business is done. I've quit my career. I've done my Japan, the Bahamas, Acapulco. I've done my thing, right? Atlantic City, Vegas. Now I'm settled back in Vegas. He moves because he can't tamper his lifestyle and keep it under wraps. So he moves to where I'm actually living right now, okay, in flyover country in the Midwest. So he's out here for about 10 or so years. And in that time, his wife has got Huntington's disease, and he knows about it from a blood test. He put her away about 2017. And in that time, he had already been practicing back into his lifestyle, what he prefers. And he told her it would be better if they divorced because the money would pay better for her to go into the home for when she does get ill. And then he went on to get married to a man that actually calls me now. He's very much a drunk. I feel very sorry for the gentleman. There's not much I can do in that situation. What he did, this is a year ago, not this July, but a year ago, I guess they got the divorce. I go and look on Facebook, not even 2 weeks ago. I'm not friends with my brothers anymore. That happens to do with the family situation and my dad dying in 2015. I told you about that. And they went against their word. But besides that, these 2 gentlemen that are here, which are my brothers, and the one that's 2 years older, he owns a salon here. And now, after the divorce from the gentleman he's with a guy that I can see on Facebook, and he's just happy-go-lucky, and his wife that was in the hospital just died November 30th. And I really feel bad because I haven't seen her since 2019 because they do not talk to those family members, and I used to take her every day. And it's like they put her on the RX and they just kind of left her to go. And she was like my age, and she has passed as of October 30th. And then when I looked and tried a little more, because I don't really like to, but I am quite a detective and can find out what I want. I look into this gentleman that he's seen his background. He was just married as of 2019 with 4 daughters that are in their teen years. Now, my point is I understand attraction. I understand our desire. I've been celibate for years. I have not been with a man since I was 24. And if you knew my age, you'd be shocked. I've never been married, but of my heart. I have a hard time looking at those moves as responsible or loving or unconditional. I see them as very narcissistic and greedy and very surface. He's very material based. He's got to change his home. It seems every year and a half. So what are we going? Where are we going with that? That's my own brother.
I do want to say I've known straight couples who've gone, or straight people who've done the same or potentially worse.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's some people are just kind of shitty.
So my thing is this guy that he's with, this is 2019. He was in a marriage. These children are 14, 15. Okay. So is this guy just doing something that's on a whim to be with my brother? Because my brother's a good looking man, guys. Okay. He's a good looking man.
I don't know.
He's had surgery. He's had surgeries up the yin yang. Okay. Surgeries. He used to be a dancer, and he keeps up with the Joneses when it comes to that whole plastic front.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? He buys into the matrix. He's in deep.
Yeah, I don't. I think I see what Liv's saying. I don't see that. That doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like something that's uniquely amongst
gay people. Yeah,
gay people. Like I mean, those
but
straight
he's
people,
not
like,
cis. He's not
American
cis or whatever you call it. He's not cis. He is very strong in his own way, but
well, no. And what I'm saying is, like, it could just be that your brother and like the people he's dating could just be like just kind of shitty people apart, like. No, not that they're being gay has anything to do with them being shitty. That they just might just be
not at
shitty
all.
people.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm trying to bring this back to, and I'll bring it back to a center point, kind of like a quantum leap here. My mother died 11 days before my second birthday. That would make him just 4. He was very close to her, like the mama's boy, right? He was the youngest boy, and she dies. He's 4 years old.
Okay.
From there, he's raised with a father that's always working. Me too. I was a tomboy, and I protected him. I was the loudmouth. I was the squirm. I was the rat. I was in your face. I'm going to tell you to get off my brother, and I'm going to break your arm when that little merry-go-round's going around. The little boy's laughing, and my brother's rolled under there, and the thing is scraping his tummy, and I'm going to grab the boy's arm, and I'm going to yank him so fucking hard that I broke his arm. Then the parents come over. That's me, okay? I was the one in your face, and I'm going to protect you because that's the Leo. So I've always been that. So I'm just saying there's a side of him that I can see as a child growing up with him. And then what he turned into is like a Greek god. Okay? That's psychologically going to screw your head up. And he adores men's physiques because when he was a child, he could not get one. And he looked at his brothers who were in football and wrestling, basketball, very good-looking 6'1", 6'2" guys. And he saw that as I don't even know the word you would put into that. So when he got it naturally, right, 8th grade to 9th, he shot up. Just like 6 foot, from like 5'8" or whatever, right, to 6 foot, 6'1". His whole looks changed. Girls all were like, oh, who's the new boy? Now they're in high school, right? He's like, Shane, I'm the same guy you were best buddies with last year in 8th grade. He just shot up over the summer. So in that, he got resentment towards women because now they're paying attention to him of his physical side. So what I'm saying, he's at the point, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands he's in. He's all about the material, physical realm of keeping up his looks at the age he's at. It just blows my mind. It's a psychological. I see it because I'm his sister. He's not born that way.
What I'm trying to say is, like,
a larger point about the community, or are you just talking about just your brother? Because I mean, it doesn't sound like something that's really.
I'm just talking about my brother.
I mean,
no.
Okay, that's fine. That's
no,
fine.
No, babes, guys, I love you. Listen. I love people all. I'm telling you, I love people all in the same. I'm giving you the grits of the deep, the dirt of where it comes from, of how I saw it go, and why he produced 3 children was all in all just to prove to his own dad and his brothers that he was able to be a man in that area. Other than that, he really didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, okay? That's like toxic masculinity kind of like vibes.
Yes. Thanks, Lick. Go ahead, and I'm going to be quiet. You go ahead and tell me what you think about that bullshit.
Oh, no, I mean, your story is interesting. I was just weird. I think we were just like listening, just like we were trying to figure out how it, what if you're trying to make a larger point, or you're just talking about your brother. And now I understand that. I think it's an interesting story. It certainly sounds like it's an interesting psychology that, like, developed there with your brother. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, it sounds like you've had a lot of.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Chris. I'm no psychologist, so I'm no doctor. I'm just giving you my perspective on how I saw a gentleman, as a boy, and now how he performs as an adult man.
Yeah, I mean, I've had family members who have been in similar, I guess, kinds of situations, where they were, I guess, more like not quite social pariahs when they were younger, and then as they got older, they kind of some of it's like a selfish thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm just from what you were saying. It does sound like your brother does seem to obviously have definitely some traumas from. I mean, everyone does to some degree. You know, like nobody really goes through early life without, you know, something sort of, you know, traumatizing them.
I think we'd all be pretty boring people if you didn't have any traumas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was the baby of 8, and
sometimes it comes later, sometimes it comes earlier. Yeah, I mean.
Well, for me, I was raised with hand-me-down, 6 older brothers, a father that worked, and not a lot of unconditional love or nurturing, or how to be feminine. So I had brought this up with Jeff and Chris the time before when I was speaking, and I was speaking pretty fast
sorry to
trying to get it all in.
I'm gonna have to go, y'all. But yeah, it's a good stream. Nice to meet you somewhere. And y'all all be well.
Yeah, man.
God bless up.
I'll think of Discord again sometime soon. Right. Anyway, continue. Somewhere. What you're saying?
Oh, I apologize. I was actually maybe more or less was discussing with Lig in the picture there, but I kind of lost track of what I was saying as far as me growing up as a tomboy. Right. Being the tomboy that I was, and I mean pretty rough. I was trying to tell you how I stood up for my dad, my brother, and that would have been anybody, right? That's just who I was. So that being what it is, by the time I hit 12, 13, this is when those movies came out. Fame, Flashdance, Saturday Night Fever, the whole disco era was hitting. So yeah, it was the whole dancing thing, and I really got into the dancing thing, and I just started gearing that energy, and I just don't think the opportunity for children righteously in their mind to develop and make up their own way they want to go. Like I say, I have nothing against anybody's decision. Like I was trying to say in the beginning of the conversation, I worked with so many and never had any infliction or affliction with anybody ever. Like it's just a mutual respect in that area for me. But if the situation was different now with what they're doing in the children's psychology level of it, and I know, Jeff, you had mentioned some things about maybe having some type of education in there for the children. I know they're going to learn. I know it's at the fingertips now with their, Black Mirror in front of them. But this stuff wasn't around when we were kids. We just didn't have, we had the right to be able to just be growing and then experiencing the way we did. And I feel very blessed that at the age I was at, I was able to go on and become feminine, where I had nobody teaching me any of that. Like none of it. I had to learn from the girls sitting there. Like I got into the shows and I was a mess. I'm like all left fingers at the time, trying to figure out how to put my makeup on. The proper way to really walk and not the hockey stop. But
you learned that from friends?
Well, no, getting into the show and just really being an observer. I've been an observer for a really long time, just learning from others and observing. And I did with the makeup. I learned by observing the girls next to me, even down to the lashes of having to glue them on. Like I had no clue. I was clueless. Clueless. I had no idea what pancake makeup meant. Like they told me what you need to go buy. You can't just wear your regular makeup that you wore in high school. Like I was so naive when it came to really getting into what I was doing. I was messing with the pros. And here I was 17. So I had to learn just from scrap. But I think it was the best experience. I don't know. I looked up the percentage of people that would be raised in Vegas, graduated from Las Vegas High, and then went on to be a showgirl. Like it's the percentage of like 0.0003 something. I mean, it's just a ridiculous number. So I feel very fortunate and blessed, but I don't feel in any means that I have any right to judge for anybody's path or what they're doing or where they're going. I just know in my own personal experience, being the baby of 8, now the baby of 9, I found a sister, that my best friend 2 years older, had an experience with me as a child, and I watched him, and then I watched his sprout, and then I watched him bloom. And he hasn't stopped. I mean, good for him. My only point being is bringing it back to really what is the essence of what is life, right? Like his wife just dying October 30th, and she's been in there since 2019 that I can remember. I haven't seen her because I haven't talked to these people, my family. I would get her every day. So I think that's what leans on my heart so much, maybe. You know what I mean? Is like, could I have been around? Could I have made up with them? Am I stubborn, or are they being that much cut off now? I don't know. Our family dynamic is pretty strong. So that's where I'm at.
It's hard to know without any kind of direct communication. Because it's all just guesswork.
There's been none. And now I know he's just been dating this gentleman since like July, and that's why I said I looked it up in just under Facebook, and I'm not really on there that much. And he's got him on there. And
what happened to his wife? I mean, she got sick or something? I'm not sure I fully understand that what you're saying. Like,
no, she had they tested her blood like 11, 12 years ago for Huntington's disease, which her brother and her father had died from. So she started getting like the symptoms. Yeah, which is kind of the twerking and uncontrolled neurological stuff like that, and then the hard to swallow. And so then they put her into the home so they could assist with her. But in that period of time, I was getting her 3-4 days a week and taking her out and just getting her outside, that kind of thing. And then when everything happened and went down for me and my dad and finding my sister and just this whatever that was, I just wasn't able to really have contact with her and take care of her the way I would want to love her as a sister-in-law. So when I found out about it, it was through my daughter, so it wasn't like I was informed or invited to the funeral, even if they had one or not. I don't know. I have no, it just feels very distant. I don't want to judge it, but in my own mind, I'm kind of like, "Urgh," you know what I mean? Like, it upsets me. It does.
No, I understand a lot better now. I didn't get that. I didn't understand the Huntington disease thing before, and like that.
Yeah, I was talking pretty fast. I apologize.
No, it's okay. No, I was missing that piece of to understanding the whole context there. Yeah, I don't know a lot about it, but I have heard about how horrific that disease can be on somebody.
Oh,
like I like, and it does seem like, I mean, it seemed kind of cold hearted to, abandon somebody in that situation like that. I mean, yeah, it's rough.
And that's kind of how I view it, Chris. So I guess that's what's eating at my, internally for me. It's kind of it wouldn't have gone down that way for me. And then to look at what happened with my father 4 years prior, and then going against their word when he specifically said, "Please do not put me on these hospice drugs." And then I leave, and 9 days later he passes from them, and then they cremate his body so I can't have an autopsy. I mean, it's that bad. Like, what are these people doing? You know what I mean?
No, I understand a little bit. My family, I'm lucky that I have a fairly. My family isn't too messed up, honestly. But my wife's family, even though like their parents love her and they've helped us a lot, but she has like extended family that has some messed up things like that happen. Like her grandmother passed years back, and no one even told her own dad. Like her grandmother had passed for had died like 4 or 5 months before like my wife's dad, or which is grandmother's son. Even the family that was in that part of the state didn't even tell them for like 5 months. And, I understand. Like, that's a family stuff like that can be really, and it baffles me every time. Like, I didn't grow up in a family like that, so it's always difficult for me to really fully understand like the pain or the mentality behind why people could do. I mean, because whenever my wife was going through the schizophrenia thing and everything, and as I learned about schizophrenia, and I learned that literally like the reason why there's so many people that are schizophrenic that are out homeless on the street is because their families literally just abandoned them, and like I can't even it's so horrific to me to even think that. For me, even no matter how bad it got, I would never just just like let her go to the street. I just can't imagine that being a thing that happens with people, but it does, and it's just horrifying.
Yeah, it's my empathy really runs deep like that. So maybe you can put this into perspective. I'm not one to be online, and there's a lot of wording. People will sign off, they'll say things, but they much love or love you. And I understand about sending good vibes, right? I understand about all that. It's really hard for me to tell anybody in general, I love you, because mine's been so broken from the father of my children to just within my family, right? So for me to just fake something online and be like, much love and whatever, and throw it out there just randomly, that's kind of hard for me. But a lot of people on there will just do that. And I think it's just gratification of the moment. I don't know. Or am I just being callous and have a chip on my shoulder?
I don't think it's fun. I think it's just you. Like, I don't tell people online I love them either. Like Lib told me the other day, and he's like, "Bye, I love y'all." I'm like, "Hold on now, we're not at that stage yet."
Yeah, there you go. That's what I kind of feel too. It's a little bit awkward for me. It's an online event. I've only been into it maybe a few months, and trying to get the feels. And I throw stuff out there, and I'm having fun. But yeah, that laying that down when I can't even do that within my own, community, family kind of thing, and it's been a rough ride. And I'm trying to find that level. It's all about caring and showing love. I get that, but the actual word love, to send that out there, it means so much more to me. I don't know,
because I want it to mean.
Well, I think it's weird when like YouTube creators and stuff like will end their videos by saying they love their audience kind of thing. I think that's weird. I think it's weird.
I don't love y'all. Don't think I love y'all. I don't love y'all. No.
I do.
I know what you mean by love. Like the Greeks had 9 different words for 9 different types of love. I'm sure I have some of those loves toward you.
Yeah. You appreciate your audience, and I get it. There is a love gesture. There's a love tone. There's a vibration to it. I get all that. I get that. I'm not against giving the right, that. But do you know some of those names? Can you rattle them off?
Yeah, there was. In fact, I did a podcast about them like a few months ago. I went over the 9 types of love.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about this like last week or so about this, about that very thing about the love thing, about because I do.
I'll put a link in the chat.
What's that?
I'll put a link in the chat.
Okay, I'm gonna try and look for it, but it looks like sometimes when I pull up for chat, for some reason when I go into regular comments, it says join. Yeah, it says join chat. Now I see your link, but at the bottom it's got a white bar and it says join chat. When I pushed that thing before, it took me out of your.
Oh,
it took me.
This is on YouTube.
This is me looking at you when I push. Okay, it says chat and then comments. So I push comments, which would be the regular comments, right? At the bottom, I see where you've put in this link, but just below it, there's a white bar and it says join the chat. And so when I did that last time when I was on with you, I thought, okay, let me join the community chat, right? I pushed that thing and it wanted me to download and it took me out of. Remember, I dropped out of your.
Okay. I don't know.
You can just
on the phone. You're on the phone.
The comments.
Yeah, I'm on a phone. I'm on an iPhone.
That shows up on the phone.
It's probably a phone thing.
So when we say goodnight, I'll just go to regular chat when we say goodbye, and I'll just click on that link real quick and grab it.
Yeah, that should work.
You just copy and paste the regular comments. It's not. I mean, the main ones. Like, I mean, I always forget about the fact there's like 9 different types according to like the certain Greek system, but. I always refer to the C.S. Lewis wrote a book called The Four Loves, and I think it covers most of it. It's most of the same things. Well, this is just a little more detailed with the 9 different types. But yeah, I mean, like there's everything from familial, motherly type love to charity to erotic love to whatever, like those kind of things. But I have love for I certainly can't say that I do understand what you mean by how it's weird whenever people just put you put out there like, love to everybody, kind of like in a really general, like kind of weird on social media and stuff like that. I do think that's a little that does dilute the meaning of the word somewhat. Whenever
I mean, I don't take it seriously when other people say it. So if I say it, I would be saying it just as seriously. Like, love y'all.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for reading
yeah.
my post. Love everyone. Like, that's about how seriously I take it, and that's about how
Yeah,
seriously I would
and I
write.
have to be that light reading it because I think it's more me and not really ever experiencing um a base love
Like growing up.
for century for myself. You know what I mean? Sorry,
You're
that
talking
was
about like
ice.
growing up. There's a thing called
Yeah.
attachment theory that talks about like the different types of, like, even when you're an infant, like Juniper right now is going through her attachment phase and experiencing her attachment style. So it happens very early, but depending on the
Yes.
attachment style to your primary caregiver or caregivers, it can determine how a lot about your personality.
Okay, so put it this way. My mom was in the hospital after she had me, and then she died, right? So she never was able to breastfeed me. But I had 3 other people, 2 aunts, and a very close friend of hers that were pregnant literally at the same time and had their babies within a week, 2 weeks of me. I breastfed from those women's breast milk. Now, 2 questions. Did their DNA affect me in my growth? Did my separation of my mother and not having her unconditional nurturing and being separated from her, right? And then having complete separation and knowing that between 3 and 5, right? And nobody discussed her. Like, there was just no discussion. There was nothing. There was no pictures. There was no talking about her. So there was no reference. So then by the time I was 6, which now you're supposedly developing whatever that is, I have not had any explanation, but I've not had a mother. And I'm looking around at relatives in a Catholic family with each cousin from a family of 9, 6, we're from 8, like huge. And my dad was from a family of 8, 6 boys, 2 girls himself. So it was a huge family. And then later to find out in 2019, none of them are even blood members. Like, I grew up with all those people, and none of them are. And not that that would make a difference, but that's my base, right? That's my family. That's like you're trying to figure out who you are, and then all of a sudden you find out at an age where things are done. He's long gone. He never told you that you really weren't his daughter, and then you find out later, and then you tell your family members, and they're actually relieved because you're holding them accountable for them not going against their word of their own dad. And they're actually like relieved that I found another sister and that I'm only their half sibling because I'm so on them. I was so on them for going against their father's will and his word. So it really became an ordeal for me. You get what I mean? I'm at a different point now. I'm obviously at a different phase in my life, but I'm just looking at, like, I was trying to explain, like, what happened with my brother and his lifestyle and what he does, and respectfully the lifestyle I led, and dancing with everyone and being a tomboy and then becoming a feminine woman that was able to have a career that was very rewarding. And then looking at a family dynamic and going, okay, what's the base? What's unconditional love? Like, if you never, or if you believed in it, say the father of my 2 children, and he just ripped me, right, at a very young age, and you never experienced it, but you thought you were and you believed in it. Now you're kind of stuck going, what's the base reality here? Is there really such thing as love? So I think that's where I'm at.
I've experienced it. Like, there is a large component of it that is going to be subjective, because it's a mental experience that you experience internally. But I've definitely experienced. Put it this way: it's the closest thing I've ever come to it, and it felt very real. So I do think like that love is a powerful phenomenon, whatever it is. But I don't know if it's anything objective. It's intersubjective.
Yes. Now, I get overwhelmed. I'm not saying that I don't feel the essence of love or the beauty in okay, the love that's like when you see beauty or in nature or the overwhelming feeling of being around a child or that innocence or that type of like looking at Chris's child with Juniper, and I have a grandchild named Juniper.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me an overwhelming feeling of love. So I have empathy and love for that little child he's holding, right?
Yeah.
That's an essence of love to me.
Sure.
But I'm not going to hold that back. Like that child is a beautiful child. You know what I mean? And there's love that goes with me viewing that child, the innocence of that child, the happiness in her. She's beautiful. And then it reminds me of my own children. Like it's a whole thing that goes with it. But what I'm saying is just in me, in my walk, and what I've experienced in the test of time, it's been a little bit hard for me to trust in people's hearts. I guess that's where I'm coming from. Maybe?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it is hard. Like that's probably wise.
And it's not
there's so much of love is chemical too. It's your body producing certain chemicals in response to a stimulus.
So true. So true.
But I always think, but anytime I know exactly what you're saying, but I always think back about like I've mentioned this quote in the show before, from C.S. Lewis, where he says that the only place safe from all the dangers of love is hell. Is the basic line. It's a paraphrase.
Love is the gateway to hell, or it can be.
Can be, but but the only place that's really safe from its dangers is to close yourself off until
love will put you in hell.
Yeah, I kind of wonder sometimes if there's a level of sulfur, scorn, that I feel that, and I want to open it. I want to let it go. For God's sakes, I moved away from the situation, right? Because that particular energy was stripping me and snuffing out my light, where my light was so strong, so centered, and I still am. But it's taken me a minute to work on it because there's been these hiccups. I feel I'm kind of at an age, and I am where I am. I'm acceptable to it. I'm open to it, but it's a level of trust to really lean into if somebody is on the surface going to come into my life and give me and say all the things, because that's already happened. Okay, let's just call it what it is. I was in the business where that was on a silver platter for me if I wanted it, right? And I didn't. I never jumped for any of the bait in that particular business. But you get what I mean? Like I'm at a point now where I want to make the wise choice, but I want to make it when it's actually, I don't want to have surface. Otherwise, I'd rather be alone. I'm okay.
Me too. I don't know how much you're like. I don't know if love is a thing that's in your head that you have that much control over. Like if you can consciously decide.
Right, it's more chemical. I know what you're saying. I know.
I think you can react to it,
and
you can process it, but I don't know if you can be that intentional about love.
Right.
And there's different types. There's definitely
different kinds of love. I mean, there's like that kind of like infatuatory type love. Yeah, maybe not, but you can make a conscious choice to treat someone with love. And in that sense, love is more of an action than a feeling. In that sense, to treat someone with kindness.
I agree.
But it's motivated by a feeling.
But I think, but you can, but even if the feeling isn't there, I think you can overcome it. I mean, I at least with family, you can sometimes. At least I can. I mean, I've even if like I might, me and my dad had, we had our struggles whenever I was younger and stuff like that. But I didn't mean I felt a lot of love, but I still I still treated him with love because I felt, I made the conscious decision, like, to try to, I don't know, maybe that just comes from my Christian upbringing. I don't know. It could just be like, just be Christian indoctrination for all I don't know. But nonetheless, like I've always thought of love as kind of a verb in that sense. So.
Yeah.
Action. I mean, there's a feeling that we definitely associate with love, but I feel, in my opinion, I think love is more something you do than and I don't mean sex either. But I mean something, a way you act more than a way you feel. Really, I think the feeling. I feel like the feeling is almost secondary to the action. I think that if you treat someone with love enough, that you can begin to feel that. I may be wrong about that.
Which comes back to what Jeff was saying, which is a chemical reaction. Which could we put that and say it's an energy exchange? And within that energy exchange, you can define that whether it was a good, a positive, or a negative. So is the positive love, and the negative we label it? I mean, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that I could see that, like energy exchange. Chris, remember the other day we talked about how like the higher emotions or the like basic emotions can combine to make these higher or complex emotions. I said maybe that's what spirituality is this combination of different basic I think love might be something like that. It's probably built of several basic emotions that come together in a very unique way.
Thing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's a very multifaceted thing. And we also talked at the same time as what I was mentioning from the yet another. I know I'm almost as bad as Paul is with talking about Jordan Peterson, and lately I feel like I've mentioned C.S. Lewis a lot, but especially the thing in the book Till We Have Faces, where the line is that a love like that can be 9/10 hate and still be called love, because the character acts in a way she does this, that she tries to do something in her mind. She believes she's doing it out of love or care for her sister, but ends up destroying her sister's life and everything. And at the end of the main character's life, she's reflecting on all of the things that she did and realizes that she was not treating her sister she did not do what she did to her sister out of love, but really out of a jealousy and a rage about the situation, the events of the book. So I do think someone can be acting out of love in their mind, and from what they understand of love, they can be doing something they think is loving, but in fact it's it's something that's harmful and almost hateful in a way. And so it can be like,
yes, I experienced that with my daughter. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, out of just sheer like, what was that? I kind of look at what happened and where I'm at now. What was before and where I am now, like it's kind of like a skip timeline. And now I'm going to start a completely new one because those people are absolutely not in my life at all. So it's like starting out with a clean slate. And what I had before was just thousands of people in my life. And that's the big shut off. That's the big.
I've done that. I get unhealthy people out of my life all the time and do like a reset.
Cleansing. Yeah.
Start fresh or filter out the one. I mean, I have the people that have been around for a while, but either they end on their own or I have to clear them out because I don't like a lot of dysfunction in my life. And so I try to like be very careful that I'm around healthy people or people that are going to contribute positively to my own health.
I think that's why I moved here, because I could feel it, that my energy was being drained to the point there wasn't going to be a return if I didn't get help, like if I didn't get out, like, and just start rejuvenating my energy. And
Right.
because I had always been positive, I've always been high energy, and just the situation I was in there after I raised my kids and the father of my children and his wife, and what they pulled on me in 2011 was just drastic. And so I moved by 2013, and I went into deep meditation on the nightly, just focusing on where I need to go, what's the best move. And then my brother came up, the one that's 2 years older, that was the dancer and has the hair salon here, the one I was talking about. And he said, well, come out here, to the Midwest and visit us and just check it out, have vacation. And this house that I'm in was literally the last house I looked at and had nothing on my mind about moving or buying. I just was meditating on what my next move needed to be because I could sense what was happening to me there in Vegas and being stripped, like almost snuffed out of my light. And my light was so bright, and I could feel it being dimmed. So, in a metaphorically, speaking. And so moving here has just been kind of like just
You're living
a
in
few
Vegas
years.
now, or you're living in Vegas
No,
now?
no, I moved in
In the Midwest.
2013. Yeah, I bought a little home, a brick home out here, actually. Yeah, really old brick home. Not used to the basement situation or anything like that, but getting used to it.
I've never lived anywhere with a basement before. It's not something that's common in the South, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I wasn't very friendly with it when I first moved in. I don't know what it is about basements. Yeah, I leave the door wide open. There's like a wood door down there. I leave it open, and then I took the doggy door off the downstairs. So there's 2 stairs, and the second stairs goes down to the basement. So down the first set, there's a door, and then there's a doggy door. I've taken that off so that the air comes through and can go down to the basement and just takes away any of the musk and the, like, because if it rains, the walls will just shed water. And I had a really good flood in 2015 and didn't realize, coming from the desert. And I had just had my brother my son take all the boxes from my garage. And I thought, okay, those ones I haven't gone through, let's put those in the basement. And we were going to do something with the garage. We had a storm, and I'll never forget it. It was in April, 5th, 2015. That basement, there's like a sub pump in there, and I wasn't used to that. I've never been used to a basement or anything. It had a sub pump for the drain off water, and I was not informed of this. And I guess I got drain water, and it soaked up in all of the boxes, and the boxes soaked up all the water, and they all bent over and flooded up to 5 feet. And I had like VHS tapes and old photo albums and you name it, clothing.
I had a similar thing happen shortly. Yeah, that's like I had all the stuff in storage, and like the storage unit flooded, and I lost tons of stuff from photo albums, and I had all of my old writing stuff, all my old notebooks and everything all got destroyed and stuff like that. And a lot of just clothing, a lot of the clothing from my store stuff. I've been finally been brave enough here recently to actually start going through some of it and start throwing stuff away. The longest time I couldn't bring myself to even throw it away. I've actually been able to kind of face it and accept it now. It really messed me up whenever that happened, but not the clothes stuff, but like all the personal stuff. They got destroyed.
Yeah, some of the safekeepings, my son kind of came through on that, which was really brilliant. And he was just like, Mom, you moved out here from Vegas, and it's kind of like you got all the things you needed up into the house, and those were the things that were left over, and you were probably sitting on them for a good 15, 20 years. And it's kind of just a new start. Just look at it that way. And so it kind of gave me a positive look at it, like, just don't even worry about it. And I didn't,
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, he did. He was just like, let it go.
I always try to view everything in the context of like what's what I have now, and try not to get too obsessed about things that went wrong in the past, because I have to remind myself all the time, if not for all this string of bad things I had happen from since right before the pandemic coming through there, I don't think I think Juniper never would have been conceived or born, stuff like that, and so and I wouldn't trade her. I always remind myself I wouldn't trade her for anything. So
yeah, how old is she now?
She's going to be 11 months. Right? She's right at 11 months right now. She was born January 28th. So
her birthday's coming up. Nice.
Yeah, she was born a week for my wife's birthday. Anyway.
Tonight is Survivor night, and I have to go start getting ready for that.
I forgot all that. I lost track of time. I never forgot it was Survivor and everything. But we're going to wrap up totally. It's been a great show, and
yeah,
it was a pleasure.
Very much enjoy the conversation.
I really appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll be back tomorrow, like usual. We'll be back at 2 p.m.
Tomorrow we're back on our normal schedule, so we'll be around at 2:00 Central.
Okay, was this a late night?
Yeah, I worked today, so I had to push it back to the evening.
Oh, okay.
But normally we stream every day at 2 unless there's something we have to adjust it for.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just kind of cruising around. I was getting myself kind of cozy, and then I saw you were live, and I thought, let me pop on. And then he was discussing something that kind of I've been down that road.
Well, good. That's what we want.
That's what's
So thank
more.
you.
Yeah, that's the whole
I
point.
think Machine is streaming right now too. He's on.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll jump over there. Yeah, I bounce around once in a while. Sometimes I like to take the silence.
Hank is on there. Cecil, look at his computer.
That's Cecil, dude, the bald head.
Neurojack? Oh.
Neurojack's over
that
there.
dude's bald head and his big nose up in the camera.
No, they had this like guy on there, and I'm like, who's this new guy? I don't recognize him. He must be somebody like he looked like a young, almost like a kid, like a teenager, like some little goth kid. He has a big church in the background, but the names weren't showing. And I just peeked again and Neurojack.
Okay. That's funny. Maybe I'll check that out. Yeah.
Neurojack's on camera?
He's on Machine stream. Yeah, he's on camera. He has his shades on. I might take a peek at Machines. I'm not going to chat or participate because Tommy's around.
I would have come on camera. I'll say hi real quick. I don't know if my little tape's off my thing, but I don't even know if you can see me in here.
It's all right.
Let me see.
We have lots of regulars that. Hi.
There you are. Yeah. Hey.
Well, anyway, I guess I know Jeff's got to go. So, anyway, it's been a great stream, guys.
Yeah. Yo.
You guys have a great night. Yeah.
You too. Yeah. You too.
Maybe
enjoy Survivor. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Night, Jeff.
I'll see you tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah. Or either that, I'll see you around the Discord tonight. I don't know. I'll be on Discord for a while.
I'll be around after Survivor. It ends at like 11:30 your time.
Yeah, if you want to watch one of those episodes of that show or whatever, like after that, you're more than welcome.
Okay, yeah, I'll probably be awake because I usually get wired after Survivor, get charged up. So
all right. Well, I'll be here doing Poshmark stuff, so I'll see you.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Later on. Bye.
That was it tonight, and we'll do it again tomorrow. And who knows what'll happen then? We'll see what comes on. If you want to be one of those people, show up tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central. And other than that, have a good day. I'm gonna go watch Survivor.